for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Coach Malachi Williams in the building. Just checking, making sure everybody can hear me right now. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know. I just want to make sure everybody, man, that I'm being heard loud and clear. That's all I want. Just want to make sure that I'm being heard loud and clear. You know what I mean? So, all right. So if you can hear me, please let me know. Just let me know, guys, because sometimes over here you have these technical difficulties. Oh, wait a minute. I got to turn the light on. I don't even have the light on right now. Let me turn the light on right quick, guys. There we go. All right, guys, give me a minute. All right, sorry about that. Once again, as you know, y'all, we back on the scene. New Media Today, USA Boxing. Coach Malachi Williams in the building. Shout out to my brother Charlo. Shout out to my brother Alan Skill. You know what I mean? We seem like to be the only ones rocking right now in the chat. Shout out to my sister Lisa Bales. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to Kid Stacy. Shout out to Brian Edwards. Shout out to Mr. Sinister. Shout out to my sister Karma Serene. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a good show today, guys. You know how we do it. My co-host Shelton Moore, he'll be on a little later on. We're gonna rock out. Shout out to OG, triple OG, triple OG, man. You know what I mean? Shout out, man. Shout out to everybody. You know what I mean? We're gonna let YouTube do what it do. I'll send the notifications out. We're talking about Shakur Stevenson today. A lot of people don't, may not, I notice a lot of people don't cover the Shakur Stevenson on the sport of boxing. Me, I'm a fan of the sport of boxing, so I want to cover my brother Shakur Stevenson. If you don't know, now you know. Shakur Stevenson does have a fight tomorrow. He's fighting a brother by the name of Jeremiah Nakathila. He's from a company called Namibian. He's Namibian. He's from Namibia. Namibia is a country that used to be a part of South Africa, right? And they separated from South Africa. They fought, they pleaded to get their independence from South Africa, and now they are a country. They became a country back in 1990. You see what I'm saying? Back in 1990. So it's a fairly young country. It has a population of about, if I'm not mistaken, like less than 3 million people. So it's a very small country. You see what I'm saying? But this is where this fighter is coming out of. Jeremiah. I got a Nakathila. You see what I'm saying? It's Nakathila. I got it written down because I didn't know how to pronounce his last name. So why are we talking about this? Shout out to my main man Uwapa. Shout out to Y2K. Shout out to Y2K PA 2001. Shout out to Corn Kid. Shout out to East Side Leak. Shout out to my brother Halim. Shout out to Elizer. Shout out to Corn Kid. Shout out to Hoyt. I don't know how to pronounce your name, brother. Ahoit. Is it Hoyt? Ahoit. You know what I mean? Shout out to you, fam. And shout out to everybody else, and we're going to give everybody time to come in. But this is the guy that Shakur Stevens is fighting right now. Why am I talking about Shakur Stevens? Outside of the obvious that he has a fight coming up, right? Outside of the obvious, let me see, can we give it a different camera angle? See, can I go a different camera angle here for now? Outside of the obvious that he's fighting a guy from South Africa, right? And everyone is going to say, hey, we don't know who this guy is. I get it. You don't know who this guy is. As a matter of fact, you know what I need to do? I need to get my other light, the brightness up a little bit, but we're going to rock from this angle for a little bit right now. So it's extremely cold in here. This is why I have this big ass wind blazer on right now, but forgive me. It's extremely cold in here. But yeah, man. So why are we talking about this guy? Well, Shakur Stevenson does have a fight coming up. I see you guys coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow they're fighting tomorrow. I think it's in Las Vegas, right? But a lot of the fans, people who don't know about African fighters, they would say, oh man, Shakur Stevenson ain't fighting nobody. Well, where am I going with this? Because I'm not talking in circles. You know what I mean? Where am I going? Shout out to Johnny Blaze. Where am I? Thank you for the compliment, Johnny Blaze, about the mic. Where am I going with this? Where I'm going at with this is this. When you study the history of African fighters who didn't no one know about, like the great Azuma Nelson, like the great Ike Corte, like the great John Mugabe. You see what I'm saying? You know, this is old school boxing, what I'm talking about. This is 70s, 80s, and some of the 90s is what I'm talking about. Hell, even in the 2000s, because a lot of those fighters fall into the 2000s, right? So when you hear fans on the internet or for certain channels say, oh man, Shakur Stevens ain't fighting nobody. Clearly, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm gonna tell you why you don't know what you're talking about. There's no footage on this guy, really. He's been fighting in this country. He is a champion over there. He's a WBO African something. Let me say it. I have it written down. He's the WBO African super featherweight champion. He's been a champion since 2017. And he signed the Top Rank. Top Rank does invest in African fighters. Top Rank has some of the best fighters that they promoted. You know, like John Mugabe and Ike Corte. You see what I'm saying? And Azuma Nelson. You know, this is for all my old head. Lisa Bells, you know who I'm talking about. Halim, you know who I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? You guys know. So I'm here to educate you guys on who this guy is. You know, do I know him personally? No, I don't know him personally, but I know about the fighters who do come from Africa who come over here. You see what I'm saying? So Shakur Stevenson, it's expected that he should beat this guy, right? Because I think that hold on, I got all these alerts coming up. I think that, you know, a lot of people, because you don't know who this guy is, you know, you say he ain't nobody. You know what I mean? But guess what? 21 wins, 17 knockouts. Shakur Stevenson is fighting him. As you get win more fights, Shakur is going to have to fight tougher competition. Now, we're going to find out what this guy's made of tomorrow night. He's taller than Shakur Stevenson. He's a champion. We're going to find out. There's really no footage on this guy, to be honest with you. So I can't tell you, I think he's an orthodox fighter. I can't tell you, you know, what is he going to do? What's his strong points? What's his weak points? I don't know anything about him. What I do know is this here. The guy's coming to fight. The guy's coming to fight. And I'm finna break it down for you guys right now. Before we do that, let's ring the Ali bell for everybody in the chat right now. Now, we might not have a lot of people rolling in today because of the topic. You know, we're talking about Shakur Stevenson. So I understand that, you know, Shakur Stevenson, you know, he don't get a lot of attention and he's fighting someone that you don't know about. But guess what? This is the sport of boxing. The guy who you may not know about may be the one to beat you and upset you. But I'm finna break something down. I'm finna make this show very interesting today. Shout out to my brother Y2K. I would love for Shakur versus Russell, but Russell calls out 147, 154 pounders, knowing the fights won't get made. But he was silent as a church mouse when Shakur was in his weight class. All talk. Hey, Y2K, you hit the nail right on the head, brother. Shout out for the super chat. Wait, you know what? Y2K, I think Shakur is still featherweight. No, he's a super featherweight, right? So, Russell should fight him. Russell should fight him. You see what I'm saying? He should fight him. I mean, even though I know Russell is with the PBC, but he doesn't fight a lot, right? He doesn't fight a lot. So since he doesn't fight a lot, he's looking for fights. He could probably easily make that fight with Shakur Stevenson. But Shakur Stevenson is so athletically gifted, he probably doesn't want to take that chance. You see what I'm saying? He probably doesn't want to take that chance. You see what I'm saying? So I can understand that Gary Russell, he doesn't want to take that chance, Y2K. That's probably what it is, brother. But the fact of the matter is, I want to talk to you about Azuma Nelson. We're going to talk about Azuma Nelson, better known as the professor. If you don't know about Azuma Nelson, you see what I'm saying? If you don't know about him, he's from Ghana. He was one of the greatest boxers, one of the greatest African boxers that came out of the country of Ghana, off the continent of Africa. He's had signature fights. And right now, we're finna look at him. Shout out to Johnny Blaze, shout out to Eddie Val, shout out to Eliza, shout out to Tony Lyons. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to Tony Lyons. Carmen, what you say, sis? What Carmen Serene say? I watched a few of that Nakathila's fights, and he hasn't fought any real competition from what I saw. So the record may not be all of that. Yeah. He's 21. He has 21 wins, 1 loss, 17 KOs. I'm not saying he's a world beater. You see what I'm saying, sis? I haven't seen any of his fights. I'm gonna have to look it up myself. I'm not saying he's a world beater. All I'm saying is I'm making an argument for the African fighters, just because that some of the American fans, in America, we feel like if the fighter ain't from America, he ain't nobody. And American fight fans are very, very fickle. So if a fighter's from the UK or from another country or from China, whatever the case may be, you know, in America, we feel like everything that comes from America is the best. You know, no one can beat us. You's a bummer. We never heard of you. Yeah, such, without knowing the quality of fighters that person may have fought. A perfect example, when Chavez came to America, Chavez was like 70-something and old before he had his first fight in America. Everybody was like, and we know Chavez is a Hall of Fame fighter. Chavez fought all of the best in that the United States had to offer and was beating them. You see what I'm saying? Azuma Nelson, you know, Ike Cortez, you know what I mean? What's my main man name? John Mugabe. Some of the best boys ever came off the continent of Africa. Before they came over here, no one knew who they were. This is the point I'm trying to prove. No one knew who they were. Halim, yeah, I got you, bro. I got you. I'm gonna check it out. No one knew who they were. So let's break this down. We're gonna talk about Azuma Nelson. My main man, Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson was a bad mofo, right? I think Azuma Nelson, as a matter of fact, hold on, guys. I'm finna pull it up. I'm finna pull him up right now. Because I don't remember everything, every fight that Azuma Nelson had, but I want to show you about the key signature fights he had. Oh, I got my notes right here. I forgot about my notes. So Azuma Nelson, he had 47 fights. Look Azuma Nelson up. The Professor. He was one of my favorite lightweight fighters, featherweight fighters, and lightweight, because he fought in multiple weight divisions, right? He was one of my favorite fighters. He was tough and durable as hell. Azuma Nelson, the Professor. He put on a clinic in the boxing ring, right? So Azuma Nelson had 47 fights. He was 39. He had 6 losses and 2 draws. And he had 28 KOs. Now you're probably saying, oh man, in this era, oh man, he had a loss. He was garbage. Clearly you don't know what you're talking about. If you feel that way. Azuma Nelson was a bad boy. You see what I'm saying? Let's look at some of Azuma Nelson's signature wins. Shelton is in the building. So let me go ahead and drop the link for my brother Shelton. Anybody want to come in and chop it up with the old boy? Y'all come on in and chop it up, man. Hey, I'm gonna check out. I don't have my phone on me. Hold on. All right, Halim, listen, I'm gonna check it out, fam. Let me I don't have my phone on me. Yeah, I don't have my phone on me. So, guys, hold on. Halim, I'm gonna see what this all about. You saying look at the Instagram, please. So let me see what it's all about. Bear with me for a moment, guys. Let me see what's all about. We're going to break down Azuma Nelson right quick. And then we're going to look at the other two African fighters, Ike Cortez and John Mugabe, and John Mugabe in order to prove my point, what I'm trying to make today about this fighter who is fighting Shakur Stevenson tomorrow, Jeremiah. All right. I don't know where my phone at, Halim, so I can't look at it right now. So I'm going to check it out after the show. So sorry about that. I don't know where it's at. So other than that, I'm talking about Azuma Nelson right now.
Zoom. The Professor, my guy.
Yeah, man, the Professor man was a bad boy. Professor man was a bad boy. He was a bad boy. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because this is for all you guys who saying, oh man, Shakur fighting a nobody. If you know anything about fighters that come from the continent of Africa, they are far from a nobody. Trust me. Azuma Nelson, Ike Cortez from Ghana, right? And my main man, John Mugabe, he's from Uganda. And if you know anything about these fighters, you will know that they are far from nobodies. These are clearly Hall of Fame fighters, right? And they came over here in America and they made their mark. Azuma Nelson, he fought at 3 different weight classes: featherweight, super featherweight, and he fought at lightweight because he was a small guy, right? He was a small guy. Okay, so Azuma Nelson, he lost to my favorite fighter, Pernell Whitaker, right? I want to say, yeah, he had and he also lost to Salvador Sanchez. He lost to Salvador Sanchez in his 14th fight. Salvador Sanchez was a bad boy, right? So, you know, that was one of his first losses. And they fought in New York. But Azuma Nelson was a bad boy. He fought Pernell Whitaker. You see what I'm saying? He fought Jesse James Lahab. He beat Jesse James 4 times. No, he beat him 3 times, I think. Let me pull them up right quick, guys. I want to make sure. They fought 4 times, Shelton, if I'm not mistaken. They fought, let's see, 1, 2. Let's see, 1, 2. I just pulled them up. No, they fought twice. I'm getting them confused with
I think he mixes him up with Jeff Finnick. He fought Jeff Finnick, I think, 4 times.
That's the one mixing them up with. You're right. That's the one mixing them up with, Jeff Finnick. You see what I'm saying? You know, but Azuma Nelson was a bad boy, man. He was a bad boy. You know, Mario Martinez, he called him.
And to let the people know, Coach, when he fought the great Salvador Sanchez,
right,
who was the reigning champion and was considered pound for pound the best fighter in the world at the time.
Right.
Salvador Sanchez had another opponent. He dropped out. They called Azuma Nelson on 2 weeks' notice. He came from Ghana to America and went 15 rounds and almost beat the great Salvador Sanchez until he was KO'd in the 15th round.
Right. The fight went 15 rounds. See, listen. So when you guys tell me about how great these fighters are, today, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. These fighters today, in my eyes, they don't pass the eye test with me. Those fighters fought 15 rounds, right? They had stamina out of this world. They had amazing chins. And they fought with smaller gloves. This is when Top Rank was putting on excellent fights. This is when Don King Promotions was putting on excellent fights. They didn't like each other, but they put on the best fights, right? This is when Duva Promotions put on excellent fights, right? You know what I mean? Kathy Duva, not Kathy Duva. What's the wife? Who was on Sergey Kovalev's promoter? Because her husband was on the promotion to come up, but he died, and she took over. It's Kathy. That's Kathy Duva, right?
Kathy Duva.
Kathy Duva. So prior to her taking over, her husband was the one that was helping putting those fights on as well. You see what I'm saying? So, and I think they was promoting Pernell Whitaker at the time. When Pernell got robbed, that was Pernell Whitaker's promoter at the time. So when you study these older fighters. You guys, I feel sorry for you guys in your 20s because I know if you follow the Alphabet Boy channels, most of you guys are in your 20s. If you look at the analytics, hold on. Bear with me for a moment, guys. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, what Coach is saying, people, is that you can't compare the 70s, the 80s, the 90s fighters to the fighters of today because they don't fight as much. They train differently. See, back then they didn't have all this snack and treadmills and strength and conditioning coaches. They didn't have all of that. That was their own strength and conditioning coach. They trained and they fought. Nothing can get you more prepared for a fight than old school training and fighting. That's how you prepare for a fight. You can do all the super workouts and strength and conditioning and scripted workouts and sprints and look, get you some combat boots, run on the beach, spar 15 rounds a day, train, work out, hit the bag. That's what's going to get you prepared for fights. Marvin Hagler didn't have all this high-tech training.
Hey, what they
Carlos Monzon with 93 fights, 89-3. He didn't have all this high-tech training. The way to prepare for a fight is to fight. Right. That's how you prepare for a fight.
Right. Man, listen, bruh, you guys have a lot of you guys who are older, you know what I'm saying? Like my main man, Mr. Nelson, what'd he say? Mr. Senator, Nelson lived up to the name Ageless Warrior. Yes, he did. The professor, yes, he did. Lisa Bells, Johnny Blaze say anybody would have lost to Sanchez. Can't blame him for losing. And it went 15 rounds on a 2-week notice. Who fights on a 2-week notice and go 15 rounds with the great Sanchez? like Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson did that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, guys, like I get excited about this, man. Like, I'll say, man, you know what? I got some funny ass today because I know a lot of people. Go ahead.
Let me address Corn Kid, Coach Corn Kid. The reason Coach says bye Felicia is that's a saying we got in the neighborhood. When somebody's talking some garbage or some way out shit that you don't really want to hear, you just say, look, bye Felicia. Get out of here with that. I don't want to hear that. That's what
just
that
go
means,
watch.
Corn Kid.
Yeah, just go watch Friday. If you never watched Friday, the first Friday before, Felicia was the chick that always came up at the wrong time, and she got on everybody's nerves. And when people just dismissed her like she was nobody, right? Because she got on people's nerves. She was always nagging and stuff like that. So that's what we mean by that. When I say bye Felicia, I'm meaning that you're getting on my nerves. You are a pest. Bye Felicia, take your ass somewhere else. That's what that means.
Hey coach, let me borrow your VCR. Can I borrow your blender? Bye Felicia.
Yeah, bye Felicia. Yeah, I'm just dismissing you. You know what I'm just dismissing you. You said what I'm saying, but shout out to Sly Tendencies, man. Best of the best also. You know what I mean? So that's what we mean by that Corn Kid. Because you have people who will come on this channel and they'll say all kind of stuff, Alphabet Boy followers. They'll come over here and say all kind of stuff and talk about this, say disparaging things sometimes if they want to get disrespectful. And I'm like, dude, if you feel that way, why are you over here? Bye, Felicia. You said we holler at your piece. I'm not begging for you to come over here. You see what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is at the end of the day. You feel me? So, yeah, man. But listen, Azuma Nelson was a bad boy, man. Azuma Nelson was a bad boy. I advise you guys to go check out Azuma Nelson. Azuma Nelson,
hey, excuse me, coach. I'll be driving for about 10 minutes.
All right, go ahead. I got it. Just put it on mute. So you know what I mean? So Azuma Nelson was a bad boy, man. He was the WBC super featherweight champion as well. WBC super featherweight champion. And he moved up to fight Pernell Whitaker. He lost in the 12-round unanimous decision against Pernell Whitaker, right? He fought Jeff Phoenix. The first time it was a draw. Second time they rematched, he beat him. You see what I'm saying? He fought Jesse James Leah twice. First one was a draw. Second time he lost to him. They fought back to back. And then he fought him again, Jesse James Leah. This is like in 1996 when they fought the third time. You see what I'm saying? He beat him. And then he fought him again and I think in 98, and he lost to him. So he fought Jesse James 1, 2, 3. He fought him 4 times. He fought Jesse James 4 times. He fought Jeff Phoenix, and you got to look these guys up. I'm telling you, he fought Jeff Phoenix, guys, and I'm actually looking at it right now. Azuma Nelson was a bad boy, bro. Azuma Nelson was a bad boy. So what are we doing? We're making an argument for African fighters. So this guy, Jeremiah Nakathila, you don't know who he is? Guess what? At one point in time, Americans did not know who Azuma Nelson was, but they found out. They soon find out. You see what I'm saying? Now, what we're going to talk about now, let's move on to the great Ike Cortez. Ike Cortez was a bad boy. 37 wins, 31, he had 37 wins, 31 of them was knockouts. He had 5 losses. No, he had 5 losses and 1 draw by disqualification. You see what I'm saying? Well, he had 4 losses. Sorry about that. And 1 draw. Ike Cortez. Ike Cortez gave Oscar De La Hoya all the hell in the world. You see what I'm saying? When they fought in 1999. And I still say to this day, Ike Cortez beat Oscar De La Hoya in Las Vegas, but he lost by a split decision. Ike Cortez. He fought Vernon Forrester, but by that time he was a little too old. He fought Vernon Forrester beat him, and he moved up to light middleweight and he fought Winky Wright. He lost to Winky Wright. Ike Cortez was a bad boy. Look up Ike Cortez. Ike Cortez was a bad boy. Ike Cortez fought at 3 different weight divisions: lightweight, welterweight, and light welterweight, light middleweight. You see what I'm saying? And he was from Ghana. So you got this great Azuma Nelson from Ghana off the continent of Africa, and we have Ike Cortez from Ghana off the continent of Africa. Bad boy. You see what I'm saying? Didn't nobody know who Ike Cortez was until he came to the United States. They soon found out. If you don't know anything about the fight game around that time in the 90s, Oscar De La Hoya was the golden boy. He was supposed to be this super fighter or whatever the case may be. So when he fight or Ike Cortez was a severe underdog against Oscar De La Hoya. Didn't anyone give Ike Cortez a chance? Guess what? Ike Cortez gave De La Hoya all the hell in the world. To this day, I feel like that Ike Cortez beat De La Hoya. It should have been a split decision for Ike Cortez. But De La Hoya being the champion, he being the golden boy in the face of boxing at that time for that weight division, he got the benefit of the doubt. right? This is how it went down. You know what I mean? This is how it went down back then. But Ike Cortez was a bad boy. Ike Cortez was a bad boy from Ghana, right? From Ghana. Yes, he was. You see what I'm saying? So we're talking about the African fighters right now who coming off the continent of Africa. The Bazooka. You're right about that, Jeff Lucietta. The Bazooka. That was his nickname. Ike the Bazooka Cortez. Jeff know what he's talking about. That's what his name was. You see what I'm saying? Alex Skill, what you say, Coach? You should reach out to Spencer Ferry and get him on. He would love to talk boxing on this channel. Oh yeah, absolutely. I try to reach out to those guys. You know, I don't really reach out to a lot of these celebrities and stuff like that. But I am going to start reaching out to them. You know, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm probably the only guy on YouTube that cover the sport of boxing that don't have connections that the other channels have. I don't have the connections that they have. But we're growing at a massive rate. We are still growing, even though I don't have the celebrity. I don't have the celebrity endorsements. I don't have the celebrity sponsorships. I don't have the people who are known in the sport of boxing coming on my channel like that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, but I'm going to start reaching out to those guys. I'm going to start reaching out to them. You know what I mean? But Ike Cortez was a bad boy. Ike Cortez was a bad boy. Absolutely. He was a bad boy. Ike Cortez was. You see what I'm saying? So, but we're going to start reaching out to them because this is how I operate, guys. I say if I become a big enough platform, if I make enough noise, guess what? They're going to reach out to me. They're going to reach out to me. Some of these guys have egos too, right? So I don't have the relationship that a lot of those other channels have, but I will get them. I'm working on that right now as we speak. You know what I mean? I do have a relationship kind of with John David Jackson, but it's been so hard to really to get an interview with him because of his time, right? And he's in Miami with me, and Shannon Briggs is in Miami with me, right? You know, so I will try to get Shannon Briggs on, but he's very busy himself. I probably can get those guys on if I pay them, but I'm not paying nobody. I got the money to pay them, but I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends on who it is. It depends on who it is, you know, but because, you know, you're asking for people's time, you know, sometimes, sometimes people will put a dollar amount on their dollar value on their time. And I understand that. So we're just going to keep working, keep grinding, and we're going to see what's up. They'll reach out to me. I promise you that. Make enough noise. If you make enough noise, they coming. So I just, you know what I mean? Make enough noise, they're coming. You know what I mean? But we're talking about Ike Cortez. Ike Cortez was a bad boy from Ghana. Ike Cortez was a bad boy from Ghana. Yes, he was. You see what I'm saying? That's another one. That's another one, right? He was a bad boy from Ghana. Didn't no one know who Ike Cortez was till he came to the United States. And what I'm saying is this. In the U.S., we have a tendency to think that because a fighter is not known in the U.S., that he's nobody. we have a tendency to do that. I was like that. Oh man, he where he from? Oh man, he ain't from the U.S. He probably garbage and can't fight. Shakur Stevenson might have his hands full tomorrow night. Now, Shakur Stevenson is super talented. Super talented. He's one of my favorite young fighters right now. He's super talented, guys. I love Shakur Stevenson. You see what I'm saying? But guess what? I'm not going to sleep on this guy who he's fighting tomorrow night. I'm not going to sleep on him. Because if this guy give him a good fight, I don't want people saying, oh man, Shakur Stevenson ain't ready for such and such for the next level. He struggled with a no-name guy. We don't know. We don't know. Let me look at the chat, man. We don't know how good this guy can fight or not. Mr. Sinister, what do you say, man? Coach Malachi, I found out about you from Major Key. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Shout out, salute to Major Key, man. Major Key Mondays on Major Key Mondays 9:30 every Monday. So shout out to Troy Graham. Shout out to Major Key Boxing. You know what I mean? Y'all please go subscribe and support that channel. Major Key and Troy doing big things over there. And I was so blessed to get invited on their panel to help interview and ask questions of the legendary coach and trainer Tommy Brooks, Hakeem Rockman, Junior Jones, and Corey Chop Chop, and Chop Chop Corey. You see what I'm saying? I was fortunate to be on that panel, right? They had listen. Major Key and Troy, they are doing big things. They are able to get these legends on their channel, right? They have the connection with that. I don't. So I was fortunate to be invited to that. So please support Major Key Boxing. Major Key Mondays every day. Major Key Mondays in the evening at 9:30. If you're in the UK, that's going to be 2:30 UK time. You see what I'm saying? So absolutely. You know what I mean? But Ike Cortez is one of my favorite fighters from Ghana. Now, let's talk about the great John Mugabe. Now, John Mugabe was a bad boy. Guess what? John Mugabe is from Uganda. No one in the United States knew who John Mugabe was. You know, no one knew who he was. No one knew who he was, right? But he fought a lot in the U.S. Right? Because he started out fighting in Germany and he fought in London as well. I think his fifth fight, he might have had his first fight in the U.S. I don't remember. I want to say it was Las Vegas, guys. Matter of fact, let me look it up. Sorry about that, guys. Bear with me one moment. Okay, let's look this up right quick. I'm finna see right now. John Mugabe had 42. He was 42-71 with 39 KOs. I didn't know his record. The man had 39 KOs. 39 KOs. 42, according to my notes, 42-71 with 39 KOs. Now, you say, Coach, what does that mean? He probably ain't fought nobody. I'm finna tell you, he fought some bad boys. Now, you guys know I'm a fanboy of Marvin Hagler. His first loss was to Marvin Hagler. 25-1. You see what I'm saying? He was 25-0 until he fought Marvin Hagler. When he fought Marvin Hagler, he got his first loss against the great Marvin Hagler. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got knocked down in the 11th round. And he gave Marvin Hagler some hell. John Mugabe. That was a hell of a fight. Till Hagler figured him out and wore him down. And got him out of there. Matter of fact, he lost 2 fights back to back. Right after the Marvin Hagler fight, he got TKO'd by Dwayne Thomas. In Nevada at Caesar's Palace. Right? So, let's move on. Let's see what else he got. Later on, he ended up fighting. He lost the super welterweight title. He lost his WBC super welterweight title to guess who? Terrible Terry Norris. Terry Norris was a bad boy. Terry Norris put hands on Sugar Ray Leonard too. Pretty much ended his career. Terry Norris did. And then after that, he had a couple more fights. He lost to Gerald McClellan. So you see what I'm saying? So Robert Mugabe was a bad boy. John Mugabe was a bad boy. I'm thinking about Robert Mugabe, the president over there in Africa. You know what I mean? So he was a bad boy, John Mugabe. Please look him up. What am I trying to say? What I'm saying is this here. Just because you haven't heard of a fighter and he's from the continent of Africa doesn't mean this guy's not a good fighter. Now, I'm not saying that this guy that Shakur Stevenson is fighting is a top-notch fighter. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is this. If Shakur Stevenson catches hell in this fight, or if he struggles in this fight with this guy, please take into consideration the great fighters who came off the continent of Africa. Take that into consideration. Those guys could fight. And the country that he's from used to be a part of South Africa. Brian Edwards, what you say, fam coach? They need to hire you on ESPN. Hey, man, shout out to Brian Adams, man, for the Edwards for the super chat. Raina Ali Bell for my brother Brian, man, for the super chat. Raina Ali Bell. I'm talking about Hall of Fame fighters I'm talking about right now. These guys are Hall of Famers. And if they're not, these guys are Hall of Fame fighters right now. They some bad boys. Fought everybody. Resume speak for itself. You see what I'm saying? And they used to fight 15 rounds back then. 15 rounders with smaller gloves. There was no side of the street. They didn't have what they call it, hyperbolic chambers that you sit in to rejuvenate your body. They didn't have that. Do you know how they recovered from injuries back in those days? We're gonna go home and get some rest. If we have to go to the hospital, if my jaw broke, get my jaw wired up, stitched up, we're gonna go home and get us some rest. And we're gonna get ready for the next fight. Who we fighting next? Okay, don't matter. And they'll go and fight you wherever you want it at. There was none of this other side of the street. You ain't fought nobody. There was none of that. Oh, shout out to my brother Kurt. Kurt. Hey, man, Kurt, let me drop the link in here, Kurt. Let me drop the link in here for you, Kurt. Hey, Kurt, here you go, man. I got the link down here, man. We're talking about these African fighters today. That's what we're talking about. Shakur Stevenson might have his hands full. Now, Shakur's one of my favorite fighters, so I fully expect Shakur to win. But guess what? If he has a tough fight, it would not surprise me. Where's this guy from again? This guy, Jeremiah Nakathila, is from Walvis Bay, Namibia. 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 That's where he's from. That what I do know about Namibia, they just became a country back in 1990. That's what I know about them. I know that for a fact because I have a friend from South Africa. They got their independence. I want to say, guys, back in 1990, and it's a very small country. They only have a population of like maybe 3 million people, if that. So a lot of people say he's from South Africa. That guy's from South Africa, and technically, you're kind of right because Namibia used to be a part of South Africa, but they got their independence. And guess what? That country has about 13 different ethnic groups, either 12 or 13 different ethnic groups. So you have a small country like that with different cultures. Different cultures. They have 13 different ethnic groups in that small country. So everybody's not the same. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's not the same. So this is what's going on. This is what's going on. So, anyways, let me address the chat. Lisa said, Curtis Anderson, I remember James Hard Rock Green. Now, wow. Okay. What you say, fam? Kasim, Kasim Ouma is from Uganda. Yeah. Absolutely, fam. Absolutely. Corn Kid, what you say, fam? After listening to you and other panel members discuss their division, it gives me a reason to research further. Absolutely, fam. You have to. I'm gonna tell you something, man. A lot of these guys right now today, they ain't what you think they are. They're not what you think they are, especially in the heavyweight division. They not what you think they are, bro. Yeah, they I'm saying to me, you're right, from the era in the school that I come from and the stuff that I studied, and people who I came up around who know more about the sport of boxing than I do, when these guys were fighting 15 rounds, they didn't have all of this. They didn't have no strength and conditioning coach. They didn't have no dietitian. They didn't have, they didn't have none of that. Like some of these guys had jobs. Marvin Hagler used to work on a construction site. And when he leave work, getting ready for a fight, he working on a construction site. And then when he finished construction, he go training. Listen, those guys back then were way tougher than these fighters right now. Tougher than Errol Spence, tougher than Crawford. And I love Crawford. Tougher than Joshua, tougher than Fury, tougher than Wilder, tougher than Canelo. It's just a different level, guys. It was a different level back then. That's all I'm saying. It was a different level back then. And I'm not getting caught up in the moment. I'm not taking anything from these fighters. These fighters today are good fighters, great fighters. But to me, and this is my opinion. To me, they don't measure up to those guys. Because those guys, now these fighters today make more money than those fighters did back then. I will say that. But I'm saying the toughness. Those fighters back then were way tougher than these guys today. Whoever your favorite fighter is, you see what I'm saying? He was not tougher. He was not tougher than what's my main man name? John Mugabe. He was not tougher than Azuma Nelson. They was not tougher than Marvin Hagler. They wasn't tougher than Larry Holmes. They're not built like that today. These guys are social media divas now. They have fanboys who have taken over. They have fanboy coats, who come in and make excuses for their fighters, find reasons why their fighters shouldn't fight this guy, say that because you're with the wrong promotional company, you don't deserve this fight. You have fanboys who are more fans of promotional companies than they are the sport of boxing. It's just a different era right now. Total different era right now. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying to me. So if you are a new school fight fan, you just got introduced to the sport of boxing. What I'm saying to you, you don't understand. I'm speaking Chinese to you. I'm speaking Mandarin to you right now because you cannot fathom or understand where I'm coming from because you haven't done your research. So I get it. I understand. This is why I say I can tell pretty much how old you are, whether you are a fan or a fanboy, and how long you've been watching the sport of boxing based on what you say in the comments. That tells me everything I need to know. Because I know you know nothing about Ike Corte. You know nothing about John Mugabe. You know nothing about Azuma Nelson. You know nothing about Julio Cesar Chavez. You know nothing about Marvin Hagler. You know nothing about the marvelous Marvin Hagler. You know nothing about Pernell Whitaker, the great Pernell Whitaker, Sweet Pea. You know nothing about Roy Jones Jr. You know nothing about Larry Holmes. You know nothing about Ron Lyle. You know nothing about Ernie Shavers. You know nothing about Smoking Joe Frazier. You know nothing about Sugar Ray Robinson. You know nothing about Joe Louis. You see what I'm saying? You know nothing about Archie Moore. You know nothing about these guys. I know based on what you're saying, you know nothing about them. You became fans of boxing when the PBC became a company. A lot of those guys, they became fans of boxing when the PBC became a company. They became fans of boxing when Floyd Mayweather had his last 5 or 6 fights. That's when they became a fan of boxing. They knew nothing about Money Mayweather. They knew nothing about Pretty Boy Floyd. They knew nothing about Pretty Boy Floyd. They knew nothing about some of the great fighters that he fought. They knew nothing about the Shane Mosleys, right? The Sugar Shane Mosleys. De La Hoya in his primes. They knew nothing about Terrible Terry Norris. They knew nothing about Julian Jackson. Or even John David Jackson. They knew nothing about what's my brother's name? Great trainer right now. He was a bad boy. He trained damn man, I forgot my brother's name, man. Buddy McGirt. You know nothing about the Buddy McGirts. If you study those old school fighters, they were way tougher than your favorite fighter right now today. Your favorite fighter won't even stand up to those dudes. I'm telling you that. And I mean no disrespect. I mean no disrespect. Now these fighters now, they cute, they pretty, they look nice. They driving Rolls Royces and whips. I mean, they did that back in the day too. They look nice. They got a strong social media following, but guess what? They ain't tough. They ain't tough like John Mugabe. They ain't tough like Marvin Hagler. What you doing, Marvin? Hey man, I getting ready for this fight. So what you finna go do now? I'm finna go to sleep. I gotta go to work in the morning. What you mean go to work? Where you work at? I do construction. I'm a construction worker in the daytime and I kick ass at night. I got a fight coming up in the next 2 months. I need 8-9 weeks to get ready for this fight while I have a goddamn job working on the construction site. So when you tell me about your fighter, big fish, I don't want to hear nothing about no goddamn big fish. I seen a big fish before. So I know what big fish is, right? I'm not a PBC. I didn't start watching boxing when the PBC became a company. Most of these fanboys today, they became fight fans when PBC became a company. They know nothing about the sport of boxing. As Roger Mayweather said, we're going to give a shout out to Roger Mayweather. I'll hit the Ali bell for Roger Mayweather. As Roger Mayweather would say, they don't know shit about the sport of boxing. Now, I have the legendary, the undisputed, the boxing icon when it comes to the historical, I'm trying to, it's a word I'm thinking of, Kurt, to try to describe my brother, Kurt, Kurt, you know what I'm saying? But this man is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to the sport of boxing. So guess what I'm going to do? Anytime I'm in the presence of greatness, anytime I'm in the presence of someone who knows more than I do when the sport of boxing, I shut my big ass mouth because we know I got a big mouth. We know I got a big mouth, right? So I'm going to shut my big ass mouth and I'm going to listen and I'm going to let my brother Kurt educate me and the panel on things that I have not mentioned. Go ahead, Kurt. Let's ring the Ali bell for my brother Kurt. And give my brother a round of applause right now. Give Kurt a round of applause right now, man. Go ahead, Kurt.
Man,
Sorry about that.
Hey, I love your energy, man. Your personality, man. I like the show. I love the show because it's boxing and you be stating facts. I just like talking boxing. I don't care who knows what. I'm very knowledgeable because of my father and my uncles, and I've been watching the sport since I was 7. And I just like talking, to people about the sport of boxing, man, because the trick is people say, how come you know this and that? The trick is you never stop learning, like I said before. And no matter if a guy watched boxing a year ago, you always sit back and see what he have to say because, you always soak in knowledge. That's one of my secrets. But you was talking about African fighters, I'll tell you, Manny Pacquiao, who's not from Africa, who's from the Philippines, who was a late replacement, and he fought an African fighter, ironically, on HBO named Lawaba, and he turned out to be an icon. And we, as Americans, we can be arrogant and thinking it's the end all be all, but there's fighters from other countries that's been tough. I remember Lloyd Hunnigan came over and beat Downer Curry, and he was a Jamaican descent, but he's from England. And you had a lot of great African fighters. David Cote, he was the first Ghanaian fighter to win the world title. They used to call him DK Poison. You had Joseph Ekbeko. You had a lot of them. Azuma Nelson was the best African fighter I've ever seen in my life. He took the Salvador Sanchez fight on 3 weeks notice and gave Salvador Sanchez problems. He went to Puerto Rico and knocked out Wilfredo Gomez. So he's the best African fighter. Went to Australia, knocked out Jeff Finnick in the second fight. So African fighters always, you know, Ike Cortez, we all know who he is, but African fighters always had a very underrated presence in the sport of boxing.
Right, because you know what I noticed. You know what I noticed too, Kurt. And listen, and I was a victim of that as well. You know, especially growing up. You know, I was very ignorant, but now I'm not as I don't feel the world at 47 the way I did at 17. But these fighters, man, were like some bad boys. Were like what I'm looking at a lot of old fights, right? I've looked at what I just got through looking at Larry Holmes, Ernie Shavers too. Saw that fight. That was a classic. I looked at Ali versus Cooper, right? Cooper was a bad boy. Cooper was he was Cassius Clay at the time, giving Cassius Clay the business them first 3 rounds. And he was catching him. I think the end of the 4th round, he caught him with that left hook with right when the bell rang. He got saved by the bell. Put him on his ass. He laid out on the ropes. Literally, so when people say that Ali had not trying to jump on Ali, but Ali had a way of where he talked so much trash that he kind of like motivated his fighters to want to beat the hell out of him in the ring. That's why they probably gave him such a tough fight, because you sell this guy out for for the entire training camp leading up to the fight. So this guy is so angry and so enraged, all he can think about is killing you, i.e. Joe Frazier. You know what I mean? So, but I say all that to say this, not trying to get off topic. A lot of these fighters, we hear that, oh, this guy ain't nobody, he ain't this, he ain't that. Now, this guy who Shakur Stevenson is fighting. Now, Shakur Stevenson is probably one of my favorite. He might be my favorite young fighter. I love Shakur Stevenson. I am a huge, diehard fan of Shakur Stevenson. The boy got all the tools. He has the reflexes. He's quick as hell. He know how to transition from offense to defense. He can fight on the front foot as well as the back foot. He's an excellent body puncher. He understands angles very well. He's a very slick boxer. He has a high ring IQ for him to be so young. And not only that, if you know anything about Newark, New Jersey, some of the baddest fighters come out of Newark. You see what I'm saying? And then the fact that Shakur Stevenson does train and spar with Terrence Crawford, that does nothing but elevate him. So I fully expect him to beat this guy tomorrow night. You know what I mean? And I know that people don't know who he's from Namibia. Namibia, I think that's where he's from. Now I know a lot about that country. I'm gonna tell you how I know Kurt, because I have a friend from South Africa. I've been knowing him for like maybe 15 years. And that country used to be South Africa, but they that particular part of South Africa, they applied for their independence from South Africa, and they became a country back in 1990. Look this up, Kurt. Look this up, back in 1990. And it's a very small country. Very small country. So it's like 3 million. It has like a 3 million people population. It's not big at all. You know what I mean? But it is a country, and it's a really good country. So I just want to bring that up. So if Shakur Stevenson, and I'm not making any excuses for Shakur Stevenson, I'm just saying in the sport of boxing, anything can happen. Just because you haven't heard of a guy doesn't mean that this guy can't fight. Because there's not a lot of fight footage on him, right? But doesn't mean he can't fight. Now, Carmen Serene said she did see some of this guy's fights, and he's not that great. I haven't seen any. I'm not going to lie to you. And she might be right. But I'm just saying, we'll find out tomorrow what this guy's made of. Because I know what to expect from Shakur Stevenson. Well, I know what he's going to do. You see what I'm saying? But, but go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead and interject. What do you think about that?
Well, number one, the cardinal sin in boxing is when you don't take any opponent serious, you make him a serious opponent. You're supposed to be in tip-top condition, but human nature, we always take things for granted. Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas, for one, it's just human nature. But you also got to factor in those guys from other countries. They love knocking off American fighters, and they come over here being hungry because some of them say, hey, I ain't going to get another shot. So Shakur has to be on his game. And I know Shakur very well because he's from my hometown. Well, he lives in Virginia now, but I know his grandfather, Walik, very well. I've been watching Shakur when he was 9, 10 years old in an elite boxing gym in North Newark. So I always knew he was going to be something. But some American fighters, coach, can be spoiled. The money start coming in. They started partying. So when you see fighters depart from their home, their country, I mean the country, city or state, it's because their team want to get them out. They don't want them to be too comfortable. I mean, look at Tank Davis. He was getting in trouble. You had to get him out of Baltimore and send him to Vegas because the money's coming in. You got the fly car, you got the jewelry, you out in the club, and that could be a major distraction. Fighting in your home country, hometown, everybody want tickets. Remember what almost happened to Evander Holyfield when he fought Atlanta against Smoking Burt Cooper.
Yeah.
Look what happened to J-Rock when he fought in Philadelphia, a homecoming fight against Jason Rosario. So you have to be very careful. You have to separate yourself from your friends. I mean, when you're in between fights, nobody said you have to turn your back on anybody, but a boxer's life, coach, is a lonely one.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right about that. It's very lonely because the fans, especially the fans in America, they're very fickle. You know what I mean? So, well, especially in today's time. In today's time, fans are very fickle. So, 1 minute they love you, the next minute they'll turn on you, and people don't want to hear excuses in boxing. So if you lose or whatever the case may be, you know they'll be quick to throw you away. You know, unless you're a diehard fan of the sport of boxing, you know you understand wins and losses. You know that's how it works. You know, but you're right about that. It is a very lonely one because when you're going through those pains and stuff of taking a beating and you have to recover, and you know fighters get thrown away. You know, Don King, a lot of the promoters, they throw you away when the fighter gets old and can't perform anymore. You know, it's over. You know what I mean? So you're right about that. Hey, listen, hey Kurt, we got someone out. We got a new guy coming on. Hyphy, what's going on, fam? What you want to talk about?
Yo, Kurt, Malachi, Wagwan. Big ups. And I was over here listening to y'all just, you know what I mean, talk about Shakur, and it's very refreshing to hear y'all talk about, you know, somebody different besides these other fighters that we always talk about. I'm just really big on Shakur and excited just to see him fight again tomorrow. And I like how you cover in the background of the unknown African fighters because usually these dudes, they come to fight.
Yeah, they do, man, they do. And like Kurt said, not only just the African fighters, but a lot of the other fighters from different, like Manny Pacquiao from the Philippines, and even some fighters from the UK, just different fighters in general. They come to fight. A lot of these guys are really good, but in America, you know, this is such a big country. You know, we don't know a lot of these guys. Some of these guys we haven't heard of them until they come over here in the United States and fight, and then they stake their claim here, like the Zuma Nelsons. You know, like the Ike Cortez, like the John Mugabes and stuff like that, and many, many more. I'm just naming 3 because it's relative to the subject matter as it relates to African fighters, and being Shakur Stevens is going to fight a fighter from Africa. This is the only reason why I'm talking about just some of these guys. But, you know, I haven't seen the guy fight, so I'm hoping like hell we get a good fight. But, you know, I am biased when it comes to Shakur Stevens. I am biased. I'm not going to lie, but at least I'm admitted. I'm not going to act like when it comes to Shakur Stevenson, I'm not going to act like I'm trying to be objective by saying that when he fights this guy, if this guy give him a hell of a fight, don't be surprised because I understand the warrior spirit of African fighters. I understand that. You see what I'm saying? But of course, my bias is I'm going with Shakur Stevenson. You know, I'll find out what's going to happen when the next, you know, the first 2-3 rounds, you know, but I got Shakur. I don't know, man. I want to say it's hard for me to say I got him stopping this guy because I don't know what this guy has. You see what I'm saying, Kurt? But I got Shakur winning the fight. I got him winning the fight. I'll say that easy, in my opinion. Kurt, what you think?
Well, I got Shakur winning. Shakur is a pure boxer. He has skills. He has a radar, built-in radar. He could be in a telephone booth and he could slip punches. That's God-given ability, and you can't do nothing with that. When you see fighters like Shakur Stevenson and Jerron Ennis, that's God-given talent. I remember Jerron Ennis was a little boy running around the gym. I was in Philadelphia watching his older brother fight Gabe Rosado, and I see him throwing punches. I never thought he'd be the fighter he is today. But you notice the boxing families, it always seemed to be the youngest one who has the most talent. Look at the Mayweathers and Floyd. Yeah. Enough said. But I'm gonna say this: we're lucky as Americans. We're spoiled. You know, we have basketball and football, and I tell people from New York and Chicago, don't get it messed up. The South, their genetics are different from us. their genetics are better. Deontay Wilder, Ernie Shavers, and Joe Louis are three of the hardest hitting heavyweights in history. They all for Alabama. Sugar Ray Leonard's from North Carolina. Tommy Hearns from Memphis, Tennessee. Sugar Ray Robinson, my favorite fighter, from Georgia. The genetics are very important, but what separates American boxing culture than anybody else's is the trainers that we have produced. And we're able to still have great trainers now, like Buddy McGirt and Virgil Hunter. Back in the day, Bernard Hopkins had Boy Fischer, and Nazim Richardson was taught by Boy Fischer. You had Jack Blackburn, who taught Joe Louis. You had Harry Wiley, who taught Sugar Ray Robinson. So if you notice, Coach and Hyphy and chat, some foreign fighters, they smart. They go get American trainers. Tyson Fury went and he said, I'm going back to my roots after the first Deontay Wilder fight, and he got Sugar Hill. When he did that, I said, uh-oh, trouble for Deontay. I knew. And because Crunk teaches you how to fight in an aggressive manner, and Fury uses his size very well. Buddy McGirt, Kovalev went with Buddy McGirt. Lennox Lewis got better when he went to Emmanuel Stewart. You know, Vladimir Klitschko got better when he went to Emmanuel Stewart. So those are receipts. I'm just giving you cases in point. So the big difference with us is our trainers. Even in basketball, the Olympic team started losing when the coaches started going to Russia and Argentina, and they would start showing them. So you have to be careful. You can't show somebody too much. Roy Jones has citizenship in Russia. He had a boxing academy where he was showing the Russians, they just don't have our genetics. So that's the difference between us and a lot of fighters.
And to interject on what you're saying as it relates to the trainers, a lot of those other countries, they realize that. So they say, hey, we're going to offer some of these American trainers, give them an offer they can't refuse. You know what I mean? So you're right about that. The training was the key. I didn't even look at it that way, but you're right. We have some of the best trainers on the planet.
And you have to look at this. You have to look at this, Coach. Also, what is common with the old school fighters you named just from America? You named the Haglers. You named the Shavers. You named the Holmes. You named the Robinsons. All these dudes came from nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. And that's what they have in common with the African fighters. Most of those African fighters come from nothing. So when they get an opportunity to come to America and fight on a big stage, they usually take advantage of that opportunity because they don't know if it's ever going to come again.
Right. You're right about that. Struggle. It's something I learned a long time ago. Ease is the biggest enemy to success. The most successful fighters, whether it's businessmen or whether it's boxing or whether it's life in general, people who are the most successful, they came up the hard way. And when you have to go through struggle brings the best out of you. Even when you're being born, right? When you're being born, you're coming into the world. It's a struggle for the mother to deliver that child. She's going through life and death to deliver that child. But that child is going through life and death to come out of the womb. That child is struggling. That child is going through pain. This is why when the mother gives birth, you see the bruises on the baby's head. That's what makes you. When you're coming through struggle in life and you're able to overcome adversity, it makes you fight hard. It makes you fight tougher. You know what I mean? So I can relate to that. I can relate to that personally, and I can relate to that just from my studying just different things outside of the sport of boxing. Some of those fighters. Hey, hold on, Kurt. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Frazier, isn't he from Beaufort, South Carolina?
Yes, he is, Coach.
He's from Beaufort, South Carolina, Joe Frazier. So, that's to piggyback on what you're saying about the yeah.
Sharecropping.
Yeah, Beaufort, South Carolina. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of those fighters were just in my opinion, and I'm not knocking the fighters up to date. There's no compare. I can't compare the eras, but those fighters was tough as hell, man. The reason why I say it was tough as hell, like some of the punches you see these guys get take, like Ernie Shavers and Holmes too. This punch that Holmes got knocked down with, I think that was the 7th or 8th round, one of those rounds. There's no way in the hell, like how the hell he got back up. How he got back up to this day, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how he got it. He dropped like a stone. I mean, that right hand, man.
and not only that, he finished the fight and he stopped Shavers later on in the fight. And that was a 15-rounder, right, Kurt?
Yep, sure was.
So so it is what it is. Retro say, yeah, man. He said Holyfield, informing our Southern boys as well. Shout out to my brother Retro Boxing and Documentaries. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel.
Look, the Southern man in America has the best genetics in the world. Not only that physically, but what he went through, there would be no blacks in New York and Chicago and Detroit if it wasn't for black Southerners. They're mentally strong, man. They're so mentally strong. I do a lot of studying history, not only boxing, but politics and race. I read a lot of books and stuff, and I had to give my hats off to the South, man. My grandfather was from, of course, my family. My mother's from Kentucky. My father's from Virginia. So I was raised by a strong Southern man, Calvin Lee, who taught me about the sport. But, as Americans, we're lucky because, like I said, we have the trainers. In 1938, the boxing landscape changed for the black fighter. It was a golden age from 1938 to 1949. You had Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong. You had the whole Black Murderers Row. You had Joe Louis, John Henry Lewis. They was all champions. You only had 8 belts, and we had 5 of them. But we was just dominating the sport. You had Sandy Sadler, Jersey Joe Walcott, Archie Moore. That's a golden era, man. Who else? I'm missing somebody. Oh, and the great Ezra Charles. So we was ruling boxing because before that they wouldn't let us in the door. You had a lot of great Jewish and Italian fighters, Benny Leonard and Harry Greb, who was a German. But after 1938, that's when the landscape changed. And remember when Ali was. Okay, ahead, Sheldon.
To James J. Braddock, he was the only one that would give Joe Louis a shot.
Who?
Right. James J. Braddock.
Okay.
But it was a deal where Braddock says, I'll give you a shot, but you have to give me 10% of your purse for the next 10 years. So Joe was paying him way after Joe knocked him out, was giving him 10% of his check, for the next 10 years. That's crazy. But that's what Joe Louis had to put up with. But in 76, out of 25 champions, you only had one American champion, which was Muhammad Ali. And after that, the amateur program became so strong because they put money into it. That produced the 76 team and the 84 team. Notice something now. When our Olympic program went down, that's because crack came in the mid 80s, like 85, because 84 was the last great team we had. And all that money athletically in the inner cities went to the so-called war on drugs, and that changed everything. So now American fighters had to do it on talent, and they didn't have the amateur background like Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, and Aaron Pryor and Tommy Hearns like they had. So it changed again.
Right, you're right about that. It does seem like the American Olympic team kind of went down, and the way you broke it down, why? It make total sense. Like the last great team we had, which was the greatest team, some would argue, was the 84 team with Pernell Whitaker, Mark Breland, Evander Holyfield. I think Holyfield fought as a light heavyweight, right? At in the Olympics.
Yep.
And who else? I'm forgetting someone else, Kurt. Who else?
Mildred Taylor and Pernell Whitaker.
Taylor. Yeah, I said Pernell Whitaker. Mildred Taylor. Yeah. So absolutely, man. So what you say? Joe Louis had to pay 10%?
For the next 10 years.
And see, this is the thing, guys. So this is why I'm heavy on, when you hear some of these fighters, we ain't gonna say no names, some of these fighters talking about slave wages and this and that, and you're trying to relitigate the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s in 2021. clearly you're not going through in 2020, 20, and 21 and 22. It's not here yet, but in 2000, you're not going through in 2021 what you went through in the 30s and 40s, or what Jack Johnson went through, or what Joe Louis went through, or what Sugar Ray Robinson went through. You're trying to relitigate something that you never lived, never experienced, and you're trying to make it relative to what's going on today. And it's like comparing apples and oranges. A lot of you guys, those guys paid the price for a lot of these privileged black fighters today. Period. You see what I'm saying? So stop trying to relitigate it and try to make it relative to what you're going through because you want arbitration or something of that sort. Or whoever. You know what I mean? Cut it out. Like, cut it out. You know what I mean? So, and that's how. Now I know I'm talking quote unquote coon talk right now. I know I'm talking quote unquote Uncle Tom and sellout talk right now. I know the talking points. I get it. You know what I mean? But I'm still standing on my square. I'm still standing on that, because if you don't know the history of what those fighters went through, like Kurt just educated me on that. I didn't know Joe Louis had to pay a fighter who he beat 10% of his purse for the next 10 goddamn years. Or would you say 10 years? Yeah, 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So cut it out, man. Cut it out, man. You know, just cut it out. But go ahead, Kurt.
You know, so you remain, when you remain hungry and with the talent you possess, that's why American fighters are dominant and has a huge history. All you have to do is go back and study the history, and you should be, fired up. You should be, giving these guys props because they paved the way. Sugar Ray Robinson was never bothered by gangsters. Now, they did come to him. He's the only fighter, black or white, at that time. Gangsters came to him and said, "We want you to take a dive and you'll win the next one." And Sugar Ray Robinson said, "Nah, I don't do business like that." They didn't do anything to him. That's the respect that they had for him. And they left him alone. They said, "Leave Ray alone. Let him do his thing." And that's unheard of. A black fighter in the 40s, telling gangsters, "Nah, I don't do business like that. Just let me fight. If I lose, I lose. I win, I win." And they left him alone. So that right there is inspiring, man. And fighters should give homage. Even Canelo paid homage to Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali. He has big posters on his wall. He wear Ali t-shirts. When Ryan Garcia knocked out Duno, he said that was my Sugar Ray Robinson left hook. So I was kind of surprised that he would say something like that, which I was very pleased. You don't forget history. If you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. That's how I see it.
What you got to say about that, Shelton? Oh, okay. Shelton driving right now.
Well, it definitely seems like that Mexican gym. Yeah, it seems like they definitely pay homage to the black fighters. Even if it's behind the scenes in that gym, they definitely pay homage to the black fighters.
This guy, hold on, Joe Lewis, hold on. Let me get the super chat out of the way. Shout out to Sly Tennyson for the super chat. He said Joe Lewis had to do what he had to do to get his belt back. Tell me more about your struggles as you wipe away your tears, Wilder. Okay. Shout out to Sly Tennessee's. Yeah, man. Listen, it was just a different era, man, and those guys had to go through some hell of a things. And then remember, they fought 15 rounds. The mafia controlled boxing at the time. You had to fight with the pressure of your life could be threatened, your family member's life can be threatened, and all of that stuff like that. Under that enormous amount of pressure, then you have your fellow countrymen, black Americans, rooting for you because you was really like more the people's champ. And you had a lot of those different dynamics, racial dynamics going on at the time within the sport of boxing. So this is what it is. A lot of corruption. You're talking about spiked water and stuff like that. Well, a lot of those fighters went through that. A lot of those fighters went through stuff being on their opponent's gloves and rubbing stuff on their eyes.
And coach, that was my biggest problem with it. It actually, to be honest with you guys, it pissed me off. How dare you compare yourself to someone who actually went through a struggle? I mean, let's just be clear here. Let's just be honest. Ain't nobody never told you, nigga, you got to go through the back door. Ain't nobody ever said to you, nigga, get in the back of this bus and let that white man have your seat. Ain't nobody ever said to you, nigga, if you avert your eyes from that white woman walking down the street. As a matter of fact, get off the sidewalk and let her pass. That ain't never happened to you. And you from Alabama. So you need to cut it out, man. That's what we're talking about. The blatant disrespect for the past, for the people who paved the way for you to be a $40 million dude. That's the problem I had with all that bullshit he was talking about.
But not only that is it's like this. It's like what Kurt said. We have the Mexican fighters like Canelo and them paying homage to the black fighters, right, of the past. But we don't have the black fighters currently paying homage to the black fighters of the past. Like, I don't get it. You see what I'm saying? It's though like I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but it's some I can think of. I'm not even going to say their names. They don't pay no homage to. I think they're paying homage. They'll stop at Floyd Mayweather and that's it. That's as far as homage they're going to pay. Floyd Mayweather and that's it. And when they talk about Floyd, they're talking about the money. You know, well, Pretty Boy did it this way. Pretty Boy did it that way. Yada yada yada. They didn't have to work. They didn't have nobody sending subliminal shots at them. Hey man, listen man, you need to take a dive on this fight right here, man. And let's say Ray Robinson say, no, I'm not going to do that. And they didn't have no one saying, hey, you know what, man, it'd be a shame if that business that you have in Harlem all of a sudden just caught a fire and blowed up and your insurance won't cover it. And all of those workers that you have working for you, you won't be able to pay them anymore. Hey, you know what? It'd be a shame that if your wife was just accidentally driving down the street one day and the brakes didn't work and she was to get in a car accident with your kids. I'm not saying that'll happen, but it'd be a shame if that was to happen. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So again, you need to consider taking the dive. This is what those guys went through. You see what I'm saying? So kill me with all the other nonsense. Kurt, anything you want to piggyback off of that, brother?
Yeah, it's I'm gonna tell you a story how bad it was in the turn of the century. A great fighter by the name of Sam Langford, and this is true. He was walking into the ring, and he looked up and he saw his friend was a fighter named Kill Grant, who was lynched because I think he's supposed to have lost the fight and he won, and he was hanging from a tree as Sam Langford was entering the ring. So can you imagine what he had to go through in the turn of the century, seeing his friend Kill Grant swinging from back and forth off a tree as he's entering the ring? Incredible. That's what fighters went through. Or Charlie Burley could have been a great fighter, but they all ducked him. Gus Lesnovich and Tony Zale. I forgot the guy from France who was middleweight champion. Oh, Marcel Cerdan. They all ducked the Black Murderers Row. It was 8-9 fighters, and they all had to fight each other like 63 times. They couldn't get title shots, so they was fighting each other for the colored welterweight championship, the colored middleweight championship. They couldn't get a world title shot, and they never gave Charlie Burley, Lloyd Marshall. So you can stop somebody greatness just by not giving them a shot, and they're relegated to just fighting for remedial titles, man, and they stopping their money, and so they never got a shot at the world title because because of discrimination. It's messed up, man. But I can tell you a million stories, man.
Hey, Kurt. To piggyback off what Sheldon was saying, because y'all told the story on it was the U.S. scrapbook, but y'all was talking about speak about a fighter being drugged. There was one time where a fighter, he was an opponent, of course it's way back then, but he was picked up by his opponent's team they fed him to drug him or poison him. If you recall a story like that.
I'm trying to remember.
It was in the U.S. scrapbook that was telling the story.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Like they fed him like an apple or something.
Oh, that was Harold Johnson. That was an orange. That's a very true story. He was fighting a Latin fighter, and he always ate an orange right before the fight, and he felt like really weak, and so he was suspicious about the orange, and he had it drug tested, and they had all kind of drugs in there, and what they did, they injected the orange with a syringe, and they put some kind of drug in there to make him weak and nauseous, and that's what happened. He ate half of the orange. He couldn't even finish it. That was Howard Johnson, who was light heavyweight champion. That's a true story.
Kurt, so this is what I see going on. When you're telling these stories, right? When I want to push a narrative, this is what I see going on. This is what I call narrative-based. You're looking for confirmation bias, right? So in order to try to tie in what you want to confirm or believe that happened as it relates to your fighter because he lost, you take these stories from the past. This is what you do to an uneducated audience who doesn't know how to ask critical questions. You take these stories from the past that Kurt said and say, well, look, this happened to such and such back then. It's a possibility that it could have happened to this fighter. Yeah, it's a possibility that it could have happened to this fighter. But the problem is when you're saying 13 different things or 13 different reasons why you lost the fight, what my thing is this here, stick to one thing. Say, this is what happened. This is what I believe happened. But when you go to saying 13 other things that happened, and you try to conflict what happened in the past and tie it into what happened with your particular situation and say, this is probably the reason. I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of shit out there and see what stick, basically. You see what I'm saying? Because I know I have a rabid fanboy base that's going to believe everything I say and ride with it to the depths of time. So they'll try to take that and conflict it with today and say this is what happened. Well, if it didn't happen, it's a possibility. So you put in seeds of doubt as to what could have happened when you have no actual facts on what you're saying that on. All because your guy lost. That's the only problem I have with that.
Look at the story Kurt just told, right? Kurt just told a story about a Sam Langford story where one of his friends that was a fighter was supposed to lose a fight, and he decided not to take the dive. He won the fight, and he was lynched. And he was hanging from a tree. And so as Sam Langford is walking into the ring, right? And then you got this cat, bringing it up to this day, you got this cat turning down $12 million to fight and saying that's slave wages. At that fight, Kurt, do we even know if Sam Langford got paid for that fight? After his buddy got hung from the street, did they even bother to pay him?
Man, we don't know. Sam Langford never got a shot at the title, and he probably didn't get paid, or he got paid very little. He didn't get what
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about a guy who went from lightweight to heavyweight. Now just let that sink in. We're talking about moving weight classes. He went from lightweight to heavyweight. Come on now.
Wow. I just learned something. From lightweight to heavyweight. Damn. How tall was he?
He was short. He had long arms. He was like 5'7".
Oh my God. 5'7" fighting heavyweight?
Mm-hmm. With long arms.
Oh my God. So he probably had like what, about a 74 arm reach, something like that? Oh,
probably a little longer than that.
Because I know Crawford is 5'8.5", and he's 74-inch arm reach. So if he's 5'7", he had long. God damn. You know, Roger Mayweather had long arms too.
And Sonny Liston reach was 85 inches.
Yeah. Sonny Liston had yeah, you're right about that. Sonny Liston had Hey, Kurt, check this out. I was watching what's the brother named Cooper, the dude from London, Cooper and Cassius Clay at the time fight each other. And man, let me listen. I was telling. I called Shelton last night. I said, man, the first 3 rounds, Cooper was giving Ali the business.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm serious. Like, bro, Ali didn't look sharp. He didn't look sharp in the first.
Because at that time, Coach Cassius Clay didn't know how to fight on the inside. Henry Cooper did.
Right. Cooper was going to the body, and Cooper had a sneaky jab. And I noticed every time he landed, remember he bust Ali. Well, his name is Cassius Clay at the time. He bust Cassius Clay's nose, had him bleed in that first round, and he was in like, you know, it looked like he had trouble trying to figure him out at first. And then at the end of the 4th round, of course, well, you know, Cassius started picking up the pace on him because Angelo Dundee was ripping him a new one. But at the end of the 4th round, I think it was like 2 seconds left, he dropped Cassius Clay, and it looked like he was out of there. But he got up, wobbled to the corner, He was standing up a little bit. They sat him down. That's when they cut the glove. that's when Dundee cut the glove to give him like another 10 seconds because he gave him an extra 10 seconds and putting water in his face profusely. They was yelling and cursing Ali out like, man, what the hell you doing? You blowing it. What the hell you doing? You need to get in there and fight. And then after that 4th round, Ali went to work. And then he, Buddy was cut. I think he was cut in 2 different places in his eye. And it was just blood was just pouring down his face, and they just had to end up stopping the fight. I want to say maybe a couple rounds later, but I never saw that fight before.
Henry Cooper said the bone of his eye, the bone over his orbital bone came through the skin, so they had to stretch his skin and give him 75 stitches on the inside and 75 stitches on the outside to close the wound.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, like. So I say all that to say this, guys. You just never know when you step in that ring. Now, Shakur Stevens is a very gifted fighter. I love the kid. He has all the intangibles. I see a lot of the great fighters in him. You know what I mean? What I love about Shakur Stevenson is the guy has there's something that I don't really think that. Well, I won't say that I don't think you can teach, but it's certain fighters that have certain gifts that they was born with. Shakur Stevenson has his reflexes is crazy. Pretty boy Floyd, not Money Made, but Pretty Boy Floyd had excellent reflexes. You see what I'm saying? They had excellent vision in the ring. If you twitch, if you flinch any certain way, you're going to hit 5-6 times. And then when you try to hit them, they're not going to be there to be hit. Just imagine the frustration of fighting someone like Shakur Stevenson. He's right in front of you. He's fighting you on the inside in the phone booth. He's landing whatever punch he wants to land. But when you try to hit him, even though he's standing in front of you, you can't land a clean shot. Do you know how frustrating that is? Go ahead on Shelton.
Well, I was going to say, Kurt just made a very interesting point when you said Sonny Liston's reach was 85 inches.
Mm-hmm.
By chance, how long is Deontay Wilder's reach? If you know,
82.
Wow.
I think it's 82 and Tyson Fury is 84.
Okay, so you're telling me a guy can destroy a guy with an 85-inch reach, but an 83-inch reach, an 82-inch reach guy is indestructible. It's just the things that you hear, the things that they say. Oh, he's too long. His arms too. He's too tall. That don't have nothing to do with the sweet science, people.
Yeah.
It don't have nothing to do with footwork and speed. As we have seen, reverting back to this guy, I kind of wish we didn't, but I did anyway. My fault. Whenever the first time the guy got into the ring with someone who could actually box and move a little bit, he had major problems. Major problem. So at the beginning of the show, like Coach was saying, these guys today, I'm being honest. I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. These guys today do not impress me. I'm not impressed by anybody that's currently fighting today. The closest thing, I'm happy with Crawford. I like Bivol and Beterbiev. I like Zurdo Ramirez because of his style, but other than that, David Benavidez, I like him.
What about Canelo?
Canelo is a flat-footed guy who fights one way. He just has great upper body, but he's nothing special. He's just better than these guys because these guys aren't dedicated to boxing, and he is. He's dedicated to the sport. That's the only difference. Canelo's nothing special. You dropped Canelo off in 1980, he got about 5-6 losses by now. He's probably been knocked out 2-3 times. He's nothing special, but he's dedicated to the sport, and these guys aren't. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I love Canelo. I love Canelo definitely for this era. You know what I mean? That's why you can't really compare the eras, and you really can't compare the eras, guys. But all I'm saying is those dudes was tough as hell, man, back then, man. They was tough. When I say tough, I mean tough as nails. You know, gotta know, like, you had a bunch of Canelos. Okay, if Canelo's your favorite fighter, you had a bunch of Canelos. That's what I'm saying. If Crawford is your favorite fighter, which he is my favorite fighter right now, you had quite a few Crawfords. If Errol Smith is your favorite fighter, You had a bunch of Errol Spencers or guys who was better than Errol Spencers. You see what I'm saying? And you're gonna have to fight these guys. They only had, I think the WBO came into existence in '88, so they only had like 2-3 belts at the time, right? So I think Hagler was undisputed. In '86, he had the Lineal Championship, the Ring Magazine, WBC, WBA, and IBF. So he was undisputed at that time. But I'm saying you had those guys was tough as nails, bro. If you just look at some of those old fights, look at the styles, look at how hard they was hitting, look at the inside fighting, look at the high ring IQ, look at the endurance, look at how a guy was dead tired, stumbling to the ring. He got 1 minute to recuperate, and he laid out like this here, like Ali and Frazier in the third fight. You know what I mean? Ali laid out in the 12th round, Frazier laid out in the 12th round, and it's like, man, we don't know if Ali gonna be able to pull it out or if Frazier gonna be able to pull it out, and Frazier just keep coming. And you got a guy who's going to the Philly shell, he's bobbing and weaving, and when you put your hand in the high guard, he's gonna hit everything. That's what I do like about what Canelo does. If you ball up, he gonna hit your arms. That's old school fighting. I'm gonna hit you in the hips. I'm gonna hit your ass anywhere. If I can't get to the head, I'm gonna hit you in the back. I'm gonna hit you anywhere to drop those arms. If we drop those arms, bam, come up that uppercut, overhand right. You know what I mean? Left hook.
Coach,
go ahead.
Don't forget in that Thriller in Manila, it was 115 degrees in the ring. Don't forget that.
I forgot all about that. Kurt, what Kurt, you want to interject on that, Kurt?
Absolutely. When you see great fighters, and I don't know, you guys saw the Four Kings documentary. I'm getting ready to watch it again. It was magnificent, unbelievable, about Leonard Hearns, Duran, and Hagler. Those guys were special, man. And if you take these fighters, even I'm a Terrence Crawford guy, Errol Spence, Crawford, Canelo, all the top fighters. If you take them and you put them, like Sheldon said, in the 80s and 90s, they're going to have multiple losses, especially in the 80s, because you had contenders that can beat them. Because it didn't have anything to do with skill. It's the content of one's character. They were men. They weren't boys. Big difference. They were men back then. Like tough fighters like Doug DeWitt, man, white boy from Yonkers, man. He was tough. Real gritty. Those guys can beat the guys of today. They would be champions. Old fighters like Jake LaMotta, who were like animals in the ring, and Carmen Basilio, man, and those guys was rough, man. They was like, they didn't care. They fought. See, when you watch the fight, you never had to say, like we say today, I wonder if it's going to be a good fight or not. You knew you was going to get a great fight. That's the difference. And they let their hands go. They just didn't care, and they fought like they depended on it. Today, you got a lot of. Oh, sorry, that was my son calling. Today, you got a lot of metrosexuals. A lot of, the way they dress and the tight pants. I'm not used to that, bro. The fuchsia looking like blouses. Look at what Andrade be wearing, man. Captain Crunch shirts and all that. I'm just from another school, man. I mean, it is what it is. 2020, I'm in my mid-50s, and I don't want to seem like the bitter old dude, but I'm not used to this, man. When it comes down to, and it's funny how music and boxing mirror each other, how music used to be so great in the 90s with hip-hop and R&B in the 80s and 70s. You had the great soundtracks, the Mac and Trouble Man, and I still listen to that today. That's in my favorite list. And 70s and 80s and 90s boxing was great. And look at now, I don't even know what R&B is and boxing. Now I get on to today's fighters a lot, but we do have some good fighters, but they just don't fight each other enough. You can have a golden era at the lightweight division, but by the time they fight, they all gonna be scattered in different divisions.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And you can just, Kurt, to piggyback, you could just look at the names they have now. We got the Big Fish, and I don't even know what these dudes call themselves, but we used to names like Frank the Animal Fletcher, and James Hard Rock Green, and James the Heat Kitchen. They had names, man. You knew these guys.
Hey, go ahead, Hyphy. Go ahead, brother. Hyphy, go ahead. You got
Yeah,
something you
I
want to
was
say?
just thinking. No, I was just thinking about that because Kurt was saying something. So you see, like at these yeah, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you. Well, he might be having technical difficulties, but yeah, Kurt, you're right about that, man. Shout out to Lady Shan in the building. Lady Shan, shout out to Lady Shan. The brother having difficulty, he just fell off. Shout out to Lady Shan. It's just different. Like these guys are good for today, and and this is another thing, Kurt. Check this out. They didn't have hyperbolic chambers. They didn't have strength and conditioning coaches. We got to get a dietitian to make sure we make weight. Listen, the dietitian was your wife. Okay, baby. I'm gonna eat this, and this. I got a fight coming up. As a matter of fact, Marvin Hagler, if I'm not mistaken, Kurt and Sheldon, you can correct me on this. Marvin Hagler leave his wife and kids and just go away for like 8 weeks to wherever. He'll go for training camp. I'll be back in 8 weeks. You know what I mean? I got to get ready for a fight. 8 or 9 weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? We didn't have all of this. Listen, they had 20 niggas with them. A whole entourage. It's like, no, they got it from the muscle. This is what we say down here in the South, and probably all over the United States, but no, he got it from the muscle. He got the butter from the duck. You see what I'm saying? That's what we say right here in Florida. He got the butter from the duck and the duck from the butter. It's an old country saying, I'm an old country ass nigga, Kurt, but that's what we say down here. He got it from he got the butter from the duck, man. He got it from the muscle. He had to get it from the gristle. You see what I'm saying? We don't have all this, and I'm not knocking science. Science today is good to help these fighters recover from injuries. The way you recover from injuries back then, you sat in the hot tub, you got in the ice bath or whatever the case may be, and you just rest, you ate right. And that was it. That's how you may get a massage from your wife or whatever, but a lot of the fighters today, they have a lot more advantages that the fighters had of the past, but the fighters of the past, even without those advantages, they were a lot tougher than the current fighters today. These fighters today are like these fighters today, they real delicate, man. They real delicate. I don't know what to say. Kurt, that's the only word I can think of. They delicate right now, man. They're real delicate, bro. That's all I can say.
Yeah, when you see, let me tell you something. When Wilder was fighting Fury and he had his head on his woman's shoulders in the locker room, I was like, what are you doing? She shouldn't be there. How you prepare for a fight is very important. That's why Marvin was consistent, because he prepared properly. He left all that home. Like you said, and that's true. He used to call training camp prison. I'm ready to go to jail. And train and punish his body. And he was always focused. When you see you bringing you and your girl walking hand in hand to the locker room, and like a little baby, you hugged up on her with your head in the chest. I was like, oh, that's terrible, man. That's terrible.
Y'all, check this out. This is one of Muhammad Ali's most famous quotes. They asked him, he just had a fight with he had just beat Cleveland Williams after the Cleveland Williams fight. You remember his best performance. Destroyed Cleveland Williams in 3 rounds. And Cleveland Williams was a monster. 51 knockouts. He was a beast. They said, why are you so confident every time you fight? He said, because by the time I get to the ring, I won the fight already. The fight was won in the gym. I won the fight in the gym. By the time I get here, it's done already. I've already won this fight. And that's the difference. That's what Kurt's alluding to. These dudes punished themselves and trained. They did all the hard work in the gym. So the fight is easy. Because I know more than likely you ain't done what I done. And I'm going to prove that to you tonight, and I'm going to punish you while you in here.
Hey, man, listen, I'm laughing at Kurt. Hey, Kurt said, he said, Wilder was all in the locker room, booed up with his wife, head laying in her bosom before the fight.
Remember
that soft ass shit?
I couldn't believe what I was like. Oh no! You separate your family, and it's supposed to be you and your team. You don't have the whole projects in a locker room like Tank Davis. He couldn't even throw punches. There was so many people up in there. You don't do that. Remember, he was He was fighting somebody, and somebody from his entourage, the FBI was looking for him. He had people from the wire there. I was like, oh, Tank, nah, bro, nah. You got to separate yourself from the hood. You can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Now he got it right because it seemed like he's more dedicated. He looks in shape because he had to leave them alone. But remember, he was getting in trouble. Somebody had to tell him, Tank, you can't do that. And Shakur got in trouble too when he was down in Miami.
Down in Miami, yeah. Got in a
And
fight.
he, and I know Newark. Newark is, these dudes here are different, bro. And I don't mean that in a good way. So he had to get away from that. You can't, if you want to be a fighter, you got to be dedicated. So when you look at Bernard Hopkins, who was always in shape, and Marvin Hagler, they reigned in the middleweight division for a long time, and it was successful because they dedicated themselves from the sport. As great as James Toney was, he could have been even better if he was in shape more.
Right.
James Toney hated to run. James Toney only sparred in the gym, but he was so special, he can get away with it. But you help yourself when you in tip-top shape. Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Hopkins, Marvin Hagler. Look at these guys that was in terrific shape. And they showed in the ring.
I mean, you had to be in terrific shape in order to fight 15 rounds. That's one. And then two, I'm gonna tell you something I was talking to Shelton about, Kurt. I was watching the Shavers. I keep reverting back to this fight as well. I was watching Shavers and Larry Holmes too, the second fight, right? They had Marvin Gaye singing the national anthem. They showing Howard Cosell was commentating. They showing Diana Ross out in the audience. All the celebrities came out, right? When they showed Larry Holmes, I've never seen a guy outside of Sonny Liston, because Sonny Liston had a stern look when he looked at his opponent. He looked like he had death in his eyes. Like, man, I'm gonna kill you. You see what I'm saying? There was no smiling, there was no dancing, there was none of that. It's, bruh, this is gonna be you in trouble tonight. Bruh, Larry Holmes had a look. If you look at, he had a death stare. I've never seen someone that focused in a fight in my life. I'm saying from a stern look standpoint. Now, of course, Ali and Frazier, I'm not knocking into the old school fighters. All of them had stern looks. But I'm saying that particular fight, Kurt, go back and just look at the beginning before the fight started. Larry Holmes was dripping with sweat, looked like they had Vaseline. He was shining, he was glistening. I thought he was a black diamond. You know what I mean? That's how much he was shining. He had a look on his face. But he didn't blink. He was just staring at Shavers. It was like he knew this is like, look, this gonna be a fight. This gonna be a war, and Shavers' ass is in trouble. And bro, but Shavers, I'm like, damn, just look at Kurt. Just look at the look he had on his face. That's all I want to say.
Because he knew he was in a fight. Ernie Shavers had a big time reputation being a power punching knockout artist, so he had to bring his A game. And what helped Larry Holmes too is that he always fought with a chip on his shoulder. In 1974, he said that he could have beat Muhammad Ali. He said that, and Larry Holmes is top 3 heavyweight of all time, man. Maybe even top 2. I got a lot of respect for Larry Holmes because he had this resiliency with him. When he was very few fighters that can be out on his feet, come back in that same round and hurt you. Tim Witherspoon, he was out on his feet. He was one punch away from being knocked out. I don't see how he survived. Ronaldo Snipes, he was out when he got knocked down and he ran into the turnbuckle, boom, and he fixed himself and readied himself and went out there and stopped Snipes. He was just a great fighter, man. And it's just that with Larry Holmes, he came between Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, 2 of the most polarizing figures in boxing history. It's just bad luck, that he came at the wrong time. But Larry Holmes was a great fighter, man. Great fighter.
Man, you hit the nail right on the head, Kurt. I mean, like Larry Holmes, man, was to this day out of the heavyweights. Because we know Ali had that flicking jab. It just to flick the wrist. So when people go to talking about, man, look how tight the Fury wrist was looking when he was flicking the jab and all that stuff there. I say you need to go look at some Muhammad Ali fights. If you look at Muhammad Ali fights, you'll see something very similar. if you looked at those fights, you know, if you want to see it, you know, if you want to see it. But Larry Holmes had, and he used to flick his jab sometimes too. When I was watching the fight when he was fighting Ernie Shavers, he used to flick his jab a little bit when he started dancing. But when Larry Holmes sat on that jab, he had, to this day, to me, he had the best jab for any heavyweight that I've seen thus far. Him, Sonny Liston, Larry Holmes, he'll beat you with the jab just by itself. I'm a jab the ish out of you. I remember when Larry Holmes offered Wilder, hey man, listen, the trainer, this is when Mark Breland was still there. This was a few years back. You can look this up, Kurt. This is a true story. He offered to help train Wilder. I'm gonna show you how to throw that jab the right way. Man, let me tell you something. If I was a heavyweight and I had Larry Holmes, you know, the Eastern Assassin, offering to teach me how to throw, even though you had Mark Breland, but we're talking about Larry Holmes as a heavyweight to show me how to throw my jab properly, because the jab sets up everything. Everything runs off of the jab. You see what I'm saying? You know, you got to know how to set it up. And he was like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't need to know Larry enough from these old dudes or whatever the case may be. It's like this era of boxers, they don't have respect for those who paved the way. Like me, like I'm going to listen to who gonna turn down. If I'm a heavyweight, I ain't turning down Larry Holmes. They're gonna show me how to throw my jab properly, especially when I have a history of improperly throwing the jab. Go ahead, Shelton.
No, I'm just saying, excuse me, man. My daughter just got approved for her first home, so we had to have a toast to celebrate.
Oh, okay, that's good. Go ahead, bro. Congratulations, man. Let's ring the Ali bell for your daughter. Hit the Ali bell one more time.
I'm back. Yeah, she out of my pocket. Hey,
Kurt, but what you think about that, man? Larry Holmes, you know, what do you think about Larry Holmes' jab?
Oh man, it's the best I've ever seen. I remember he fought a guy by the name of Ozzy Ocasio. He knocked Ocasio out with nothing but jabs. He had a great jab. Buster Douglas had a great jab. He knocked out Mike Williams, an up-and-coming heavyweight, with that same jab. That's how he got the Tyson fight. It was on the undercard of Tyson the Spinks, Buster Douglas. Riddick Bowe had a beautiful jab. He used to call it the kiss. You know, yeah. Ali jab was something. But I see a lot of people don't understand. Ali was a complete different fighter in the 60s. He could beat you with his physical ability alone because he was so fast. And when he came back, he wasn't the same. So he had to use his head. You know, he had to use his experience. He had to use his know-how. And he started taking punishment. But he was I like watching Ali in the 60s against Zora Foley and Cleveland Williams. You know, he was a beautiful fighter. But if I was Wilder and George Foreman or Larry Holmes or whoever wanted to teach me something, I was soaking all that knowledge, because you can't go wrong with people wanting to show you how to do things properly. He gonna need it July 24th, you know, so yeah. I would not be stubborn. You know, certain fighters said he's stubborn, so we want to see if it's going to resonate how he looked with Malik Scott on July 24th, man. It's going to be an uphill battle, but anything can happen in boxing. I just would have learned. I would have shut my mouth and was taught how to throw the jab properly.
I mean, absolutely. Shout out to my brother Punch Drunk Boxing, man, for the super chat. Hit the Ali bell for my brother Punch Drunk Boxing. Please subscribe to his channel, Punch Drunk Boxing. He said, "What's up, brothers? God bless. Keep up the great work, coach." Thank you so much, Punch. I really appreciate that, fam. We're talking about Shakur Stevenson, but we're going around the world talking about other great fighters as well. So no, we do. We love to talk about boxing, man. So I could do this all day. You know what I mean? But
hey,
go ahead,
coach,
Sheldon.
Can I respond to Eddie Val?
Go ahead.
Eddie Val, if you go back and YouTube some of Larry Holmes' fights, and you look at the style that George Foreman had. Prime Larry Holmes destroys George Foreman. George Foreman can't get past that jab.
Yeah.
George never wanted to fight Larry. Larry wanted to fight George, but George didn't want to have nothing to do with Larry. George had problems with straight, quick punches. And what do Larry Holmes have? A straight, quick jab. He stayed away from Larry Holmes.
Yeah, Larry Holmes, man. And then Larry Holmes was around in that era. Those you guys, a lot of people may not know that, but Larry Holmes was around. He was Ali's sparring partner. Ali helped prepare. Larry Holmes helped prepare Ali to beat Foreman, and in the Rumble in the Jungle. You know what I mean? Ali was Ali, I think it was a video I saw, right, where he was getting dropped with body shots in sparring in preparation to fight George Foreman. You know, Ali was getting dropped by Larry Holmes just with body, because Larry Holmes was a good body puncher too, the jab to the body. That jab to the body was serious, you know what I mean? So, you know, he was getting dropped by that. And if you look at the movie, I have a book, Don King's Only in America book. I want you guys to buy that book. You know, and Don King talked about that in there. You know what I mean? Ali got dropped in sparring. This is why everybody was saying Ali was done. 14 years, he was boxing and stuff like that. Larry, you know, George Foreman had annihilated every fighter pretty much that Ali had fought, that Ali had to go the distance with and stuff. George Foreman ran through them. So, of course, they didn't give Ali a chance. But Ali strategically was like, listen, he know he wasn't going to let Foreman hit him in the head. He said, just punish him a body. He was conditioning his body. And as you can see, it played out kind of like how Ali said. Ali introduced Foreman to what? The lead right. That lead right hand, boy. Bop! I'll never forget. He wasn't prepared for the lead right hand because Ali didn't really show it prior to that. But it was something else, man. It was something else. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Larry Holmes used to spar Joe Frazier, and Joe Frazier used to get Larry Holmes work because Joe Frazier pressure was a problem for a lot of people. He's one of the best pressure fighters in the history of the sport, man. He used this lack of size as an advantage. A short fighter fighting on the inside always has the advantage because he could slip on the punches and hit you to the body. You know, so Joe Frazier doesn't get enough credit, but he beat Ali when Ali came back in a great fight, man. Joe Frazier, when you look at him against Jimmy Ellis, man, was a heck of a fighter. Heck of a fighter. I just wanted to give Joe Frazier props as well.
Hey, but you know what I love about Joe Frazier, Kurt, and I noticed this. I want to go back to Rocky Marciano as well. They hit you anywhere. I watched all the three of the Ali fights, right? Ali and Frazier, and just watched a lot of Frazier fights. Bro, he gonna hit you. They hit you in the elbows. Okay, if you covering up, we're gonna hit you in the elbows. Oh, you're gonna keep your arms up, huh? I'm punching you in the shoulders. I'm punching you on the forearms. I'm hitting you, I'm hitting you anywhere that I can land a punch. And over a period of time, especially if you look at the fights he had with Ali, over a period of time, it's like Ali couldn't keep this dude off of him. And like you said, Futch was Futch was a master trainer. You're like, no. We gonna keep that pressure on him. Stay in his chest. Keep coming. If he covers up, you just keep, you hit his arms, hit his elbows. He gonna drop them arms. And when he drop them arms, come up top with the left hook. Bam! You know what I mean? When I look at
Kurt can probably verify this. One of Joe's strategies when he fought Ali or anybody that moved was hit him in the hips. Hit him on the hips.
Yeah.
Slow him down. Ali was known after every Frazier fight, it would take him 2 weeks to be able to walk right because his hips would be so sore. It's Joe trying to slow him down, keep him in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but just to have the endurance to just keep up the attack, even though Ali was hitting him with everything in the kitchen sink. But I'm gonna keep coming. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep coming. Just keep pressuring. And then now Ali can't dance anymore. So now I'm forcing you to fight flat-footed now. I'm forcing you to, okay, we're gonna go to the back of the ropes now. I'm gonna put you to the ropes, and now I'm gonna just punish you. And he's just sitting there the whole time, pap, 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 pap. And then as soon as Ali drop his hands, he come up top with the left hook. Ali know it's coming sometimes. Sometimes it'll barely hit him, sometimes it'll catch him flush. What I noticed, Kurt, check this out. Tell me, do you agree with this? It seems like, because I watched the what the brother from London name, Kurt, Cooper.
Yeah, Sir Henry Cooper.
Sir Henry Cooper. I noticed when Ali was Cassius Clay, and I look at a lot of his fights, even all the way through Muhammad Ali, he always was susceptible to getting hit with the left hook. Have you noticed that? I mean, the fights that I saw, that the left hook seemed like to be a problem for him. Now, he took a good punch. Don't get me wrong. Ali took a good punch, but I'm like, damn, there's a theme. That's a theme I saw here, even with Sir Henry Cooper and especially Frazier. His left hook was his bread and butter. But and I looked at the Ken Norton fights. I'm like, damn, man, that left hook used to always catch Ali from time to time.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? So Punch, shout out to Punch from Boston. Punch say for the super chat. He said, I got a question for the panel in chat. Nowadays, a lack of showmen such as Prince Nassim, Camacho, Roy Jones Jr. Who is your top 10 showman of all time? Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say Prince Nassim Ahmed, man. I like the Prince on that one. The Prince the Prince was a very flashy fighter from a showmanship standpoint. Camacho was too. Roy Jones was too. Roy Jones was the first fighter that I remember. He played a basketball game the same day that he had a fight. The same day he had a fight, he had a fight that night.
Facts.
Roy Jones played a full court basketball. He used to do all kind of stuff to challenge himself. He had a full
in the
court
CBA, coach. In the CBA.
Right. Roy Jones had a full, I'm a fanboy of Roy Jones. He had a full court basketball game because they were saying he ain't fight nobody because he was making he ain't fight nobody. He beating these fighters easy and stuff like that. But Roy Jones used to always say, y'all had the nerve to say I ain't fought nobody. I just make them look like nobody. You see what I'm saying? These fighters are somebody fighters. It's just that I'm such a great fighter. I make a good fighter look like nobody. This is what he was saying. He even put it in a rap song he made called Y'all Must Have Forgot. That's what he said. And I remember that. But Roy played a full court basketball game. I don't know no fighter done that to this day.
My guy. Say that again, Kurt.
I think he was Eric Lucas who we fought that night.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, my guy. Yeah. Now, Kurt, Coach, you may remember this too. My guy. For that question. It's Macho time. It's Macho time. Macho might come out in a Roman headdress. Macho might come out with some sequins on. Macho might come out with a skirt on. But Macho could fucking fight.
Yeah, Camacho was a bad boy. That was my guy too, man. I used to mess with Camacho real heavy, man. Camacho was flashy. He brought entertainment. He brought flash and pizzazz. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. I think both of them was more flashy than Roy Jones, Camacho, and Prince Nassim. I'm not gonna lie. So, hey, Punch, for me, I could go with Camacho too. For me, I would say the Prince, because he used to come in on the throne, and him and Camacho. I think the Prince and Camacho was. I think they was running neck and neck. I think they was trying to see who can outdo each other with ring walks.
Who you got, Kurt?
There was a guy that fought on Tuesday Night Fight, Jorge Paez. He was a clown for real because his family had a circus. He had
Jorge
that crazy
Paez, clown.
Mero, his name was. He was a showman, man. He brung a lot of personality. Chris Eubanks from England was another one. He was a showman. At the end of the round, he used to stay out in the audience before he went to the corner. It was crazy. Who else? Max Baer, way back in the day, was crazy. Max Baer was a funny dude. Two-ton Tony Galento was a out of shape dude. He was real funny. What'd you say?
Go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's all right. So those are few of the showmen that I remember. Oh, Emmanuel Augustus. How can you forget him?
Yeah.
The drunken master.
Yeah. I forgot about Emmanuel Augustus. You're right about that. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
arguably, Floyd Mayweather's toughest fight from his own mouth.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Prince. Let's see who they talking about. Prince Nassim, my man. Yeah, man. Hey, Prince throw a concert before he step in the ring. I see Canelo trying to do that now. I noticed his last two fights. He got the one fight he had the mariachi band out there. One fight he had a reggaeton artist when he fought Yildirim. But Canelo, he ain't nowhere near those other guys' level as it relates to showmanship when it comes in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man. To me, it was the Prince. Now inside the ring, Kurt, I propose this question. Inside the ring showmanship, I would say Prince Nassim Ahmed or Pernell Whitaker, because Pernell was something inside of the ring. You know what I mean? Pernell Whitaker was I used to love the way he would you would be right in front of him and you literally couldn't hit him. I rewatched the fight with Chavez and Pernell Whitaker, and there's no way in hell that fight was a draw. There's no way in the hell. Chavez literally could not touch the man, and the man was standing right in front of him. Literally, he could not touch him, and he was hitting Chavez. Now, Pernell never had power, but he was hitting Chavez when I think Pernell only had 4 losses. But yeah, he was hitting Chavez at will, smiling, dancing. And then when you look at when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, De La Hoya threw like a 5-punch combination and didn't land anything. Didn't land anything. You know what I mean? So, bro, it's like, man, I'm so inside the ring, I would probably go with Pernell more so than Prince Nassim inside the ring. But Prince Nassim was something else. And he had a lot of power for him to be a featherweight. That dude, that dude had knockout power in either hand. He had terrible defense. We know that. He had terrible defense, but that dude, man, was strong as you know what.
I'm gonna throw a name out there for you that might mess you up a little bit. I'm gonna go with Sugar Ray Leonard.
Leonard? What you
Sugar
talking
Ray
about?
Leonard was a hell of a showman.
Outside the ring or inside the ring?
Inside the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray hit you with the bolo. Sugar Ray doing the Ali shuffle. Sugar Ray sticking his chin out, sticking his tongue out. He dancing. Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard for me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, Sugar Ray was a bad boy. He was a bad boy inside the ring. I mean, I didn't like the fact that I was a Hagler fanboy myself, so I didn't like the fact that Hagler lost to Sugar Ray in a split decision. I didn't like that at all. But he didn't get the benefit of the doubt. The champion always get the benefit of the doubt in Vegas. If you look at when De La Hoya
politics, coach. Politics.
When you look at when De La Hoya fought Ike Corte, he got the benefit of the doubt over Ike Corte. He beat Ike Corte by split decision. A lot of people say that Ike Corte beat De La Hoya. I say I feel that way as well. I feel that way as well. That Ike Corte beat Oscar De La Hoya. I really feel that way. You know what I mean? So to this day, I feel that way. You know what I mean? But so this is the frustration with Hagler. He was very frustrated with that because he's like, man, I'm fighting Ray in Vegas, man. Come on, man. I'm and back then, guys, the aggressor, you got points for being the aggressor a lot too. You see what I'm saying? Back then, if you was the aggressor and the fighter was in retreat most of the time, you would get, they scored boxing kind of differently at that time. And now it was still corrupt. But I remember if you was the aggressor, you got a lot of props with judges for being the aggressor. You know what I mean? So if you watch that Leonard and Hagler fight, Leonard was on his bicycle the whole fight, and then he did a lot of flurries he was throwing at the end of each round because he'll conserve a lot of his energy throughout the rounds, and he'll try to steal some of those rounds, kind of like with the last 20 seconds of the fight, and the crowd go to oohing and ahhing and all that stuff there, and so. But it still was a good fight. What you say about that, Kurt?
Yeah, they all showmen. Man, I could tell you, like fighters that wasn't that good. They tried to be showmen. It was a guy named Wilbur, the Vampire Johnson, who used to come in because he had no teeth in the front of his mouth, so he used to come in a Dracula's cape, and I think he came in a coffin too. In the 80s.
Shit.
Yeah, look that up, man. Yeah, I think he came in a coffin.
In a coffin. Who?
The fighter named Wilbur Johnson.
Wilbur the Vampire Johnson. I got it. I'm gonna look it up.
I think he came in a coffin at one time. And you have fighters that used to pass out roses to women. I forgot the fighter's name, but it's the fighters, man. They're some of the funniest people. I want you to look at a fight between Greg Page and Scott Ledoux when Greg Page started dancing in the ring as he was throwing combinations and hitting Scott Ledoux, and he started boogalooing and doing a rerun dance. You got to look at this fight, man. I could not believe it. He was pop locking. Seriously, he was pop locking and moonwalking, and I was one of my funniest fights. You got to see it. Greg Page versus Scott Ledoux.
Well, what it is, Kurt?
Greg Page versus Scott Ledoux. He was dancing in the rings. No respect for Ledoux. And he was hitting Ledoux as he was dancing. the dude would get close and you hit him with a combination because Page can fight. You know, he had
Greg
fast
Page,
hands.
he just didn't have no pop, but he could
Right.
fight.
Right. And he started doing, you remember the rerun dance and what's happening?
Yeah,
He was doing
Pop
that
locking.
and pop locking and all that. Yeah, pop locking.
Hey man,
Lady Chan, we just mentioned the Drunken Master, Lady Chan. We just talked about Emmanuel Augustus.
Yeah, she didn't hear it. Yeah, she didn't hear it. Hey, that's I mean, hey, I gotta look that up, man. Hey, Kurt. Kurt said the man was doing the rerun dance, pop like.
Yeah, he was shucking and jiving, man.
Hey, Kurt, I'm gonna send you this fight. I think I sent it to the coach. I just watched it 2 nights ago. This gonna take you all the way back. I just watched James Scott versus Eddie Gregory from Rahway State Prison when Eddie Gregory was #1 contender for the light heavyweight championship.
It's funny you mentioned that because I talked to James Scott's brother, Evan. He works for the city of Newark. I just talked to him 2 days ago on the phone. I still keep in touch with Evan.
Wow.
Yeah, James passed away in 2018, but I remember that fight like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow,
NBC, Channel 4.
Yep. That's a throwback, man. Wow.
Hey, Retro talked about Anthony Hambrick.
Oh, Blood, what's going on, Blood, my brother? He made himself look like an idiot when he fought. Who is that? Booker T. Ward?
Booker T. Ward.
Dancing, yeah. What an embarrassment. That's boxing, though. Boxing is very strange, man.
Yep.
Remember in England where it was a fighter, he was getting knocked out and he was against the ropes and his mother took off her shoe and started hitting the other fighter in the head.
Yeah, I never forget that.
Hey, which fight that was? I gotta look that up. Which fight that was?
I don't even know their names. I forgot, man.
Just put in YouTube, fighter's mother hits boxer with shoe, and it'll pop up.
Oh man. Hey, listen. Hey, hold on. I don't mean to go come off topic. Hits fighter with shoe. Hey, listen. I remember when Jalen Love. Don't laugh, guys. Don't laugh. Jalen Love was fighting this. I forgot the fighter's name. It was a Mexican fighter. Jalen Love was undefeated at the time. Floyd Mayweather and Leonard Ellerbe was right there in the ring, right there on the side watching the fight. The camera was showing the ring, and Jalen Love got caught up in the corner of the ring. He was winning the fight.
Yes.
And the guy he was fighting, he was a Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
He caught Jalen Love. Bro, when he caught him, Kurt, I don't know if you remember this fight. He dropped Jalen. Jalen got knocked out. He dropped him. When he dropped him, Jalen was so drunk trying to get up, he couldn't get up. And his mother ran. She said, no. She ran to the ring, Kurt. She was hitting her hands on the mat, telling him to get up. He was trying to get up, and he got, bro, hey, listen, to this day, that was one of the funniest.
That was on Showbox, the New Generation. Because you know Jalen Love never got past Showbox.
Kurt, you got it, Kurt. This was his first loss. I can't make this up, bro. That was the funniest. That was like the funniest shit I've seen, bro. His mama, when you could look it up on YouTube, when they show her running in slow motion, Kurt, she running in slow motion like, no. She was like, nigga, you finna mess the bag up. You messing the bag up. You cannot lose this fight, bro. It was hey, Kurt, I swear to bro, please look that up, bro. You want to laugh? Sure. You want to laugh? Listen, bro. I was on, bro. Listen, you want to, bro.
Was that the Porky Medina fight?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's what it was, Porky Medina?
Yes,
I didn't
Porky
know
Medina. Yes. Showbox, the New Generation. Yes.
Oh,
I gotta go back and look at it again because I saw that fight. I gotta
look. Just listen. Watch. Because they showing Floyd, they showing Leonard Ellerbe, they showing like I guess the women that was with them and stuff like that, and everybody was like, okay, Jalen doing, he doing his thing, yada 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 yada. Listen, and I think I don't know what round it was. It could have been like the last round or something like that. But Jalen was blowing this dude out the water. Man, that dude called him. His corner told him, man, you need a knockout. You know what I mean? He caught Jalen Love, And bro, it was the funniest shit I ever seen in my life, bro. It wasn't the fact
that fight changed Jay Leon Love's career too, because he was a hot prospect at one time. That fight changed his whole career.
Hey, Kurt, he ain't been the same since. It wasn't the fact that Jay Leon lost, and I'm not laughing at that. It was his mother. She ran, Kurt. She ran to the ring, Kurt, and she's yelling, "Get up! Get up!" And Floyd and Leonard got a look on their face like, damn. And it looked like the women that was with Floyd and them, they had like tears in their eyes, like they was about to cry or something like that. But that shit, but Kurt, to this day, bro, when I want a good laugh, I look at that just to see his mother run to the ring, bro. You know, but shout out to Jay Leon Love, man. Read the Ali Bell. Jay Leon Love.
Hey, I want to ask Blood a question. Hey, Blood, when you gonna do a retrospective, bro, on Frank the Animal Fletcher? A lot of these youngsters need to see Frank fight, man. Frank was a monster.
Who, Kurt? I mean, who, Shelby?
Frank the Animal Fletcher.
Frank the Animal Fletcher. Okay. Frank the Animal Fletcher.
I remember when he fought Juan Domingo Roldan. Oh my God.
Man. Oof. Man. You want to see fight, coach? I'm talking about a fucking war. Google Juan Domingo Roldan versus Frank the Animal Fletcher. Watch that fight.
That dude was so strong, man.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna just let's address some of these and some of these questions in the chat. Kurt, point say which fighter's fan base has the most loyal fan base ever. I mean, that's to me, points. That's very subjective. I don't think there's any actual facts on that. You know, it's to me that's subjective. Some people say Ray Leonard. Some people say Ali. It's a big argument for Ali. You know what I mean? That's a big argument for Ali. I would probably say I'll probably say Ali.
Coach, what about J.C. Chavez Sr.?
Oh yeah, you talking about we say Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.?
Senior, yeah.
Yeah. He had a hell of a fan base.
I agree with you. Ricky Hatton had a crazy fan base.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, man. You couldn't hear yourself when he beat Costa Azul. That made Costa Azul quit. And when he fought Mayweather, they took over Vegas, man.
Yeah, they did.
Ricky had a crazy fan base, man.
And this is what I love about the UK fans. The UK fans, you guys support your fighters no matter what. You support your fighters. That's what I love about the Sly Tendencies. I see you, fam. You know, just give me a minute. What I love about just give me a minute. We chopping it up right now. I got you in. Shout out to Sly Tendencies. I'm gonna let you talk, fam. What I love about the UK fan base, if I was depending on looking at it from a country standpoint, the UK fan base, you guys are not fickle like a lot of the fans in the US right now. The US fan base, when it comes to the sport of boxing, is very fickle. You see what I'm saying? They with you 1 minute, next minute, you know, if you lose 1 or 2 minute fights. Now, Wilder has a rabid fan base. His fan base is to the point of psychosis, I would like to say. And he has a, you know, like no matter what, you know, he has.
But question, coach, question. Is it big though? I don't think Wilder's fan base is that big.
No, he doesn't have a big fan base because he's not selling out events. He's not selling out venues. He doesn't have a big fan base, but he have a rabid fan. You know, the few fans he has is woo, but it's crazy.
Joe Louis had a crazy fan base because you could make the argument he was the first black accepted hero in the United States in any field. Joe Louis, when he lost to Schmeling, everybody cried. Everybody. And when Joe got the rematch, and because remember, the Lewis and Schmeling fight was the most listened to program in radio history. And when he fought Schmeling the second time, his fights were so big that people used to get dressed up, not to go to the fight, but listen, and you know, go to your neighbor's house in suits and listen to the radio. And when Joe knocked out Schmeling, everybody ran into the streets in the United States in the black neighborhoods and started celebrating up and down. Joe became larger than life when he knocked out Schmeling.
That's true. My grandmother and my grandfather told me about that. They said they was out in the streets till 2, 3 in the morning partying.
It was a party when Joe
Party.
was looked at as like a superhero, man.
Hey, Kurt. I'm gonna let you talk slide tennis for a minute. Hey, Kurt. Retro Blood said he did one already. The fighter to answer your question.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah. Okay,
He
cool.
did.
I gotta check that out. I'm gonna tune into your channel after this live. Blood. I want to see my man Frank.
All right, we're gonna do about another strong 10 minutes, guys. I'm gonna let Slide Tennessee get in here. Slide, what you got to say, fam?
Oh, I had to make sure the mic. Okay, no, you're fine, man. I jumped in earlier, but I was driving home and in my car. It just sounds like I'm in a microwave or something. But you guys were talking about fan bases. The Mike Tyson fan base. I'm only 34, but the Mike Tyson fan base was pretty. I remember them putting the sign in Vegas with Mike Tyson with all the armor on. I ain't never seen anything like that since. When he put the armor on his, they had like a whole suit of armor on him, Iron Mike or whatever. And another one,
Mike Tyson.
Yep. And I remember the other one that I remembered. My grandpa had some those old signs, those old tin signs that they painted, and he said that Rocky Marciano was he said it was like a national holiday when he would fight. Like I can't remember when he fought La Starza. It was his first title defense, and he said that he was like, it was crazy. He goes, you couldn't even. He said it was 24 hours nonstop, people arguing over who's gonna win, and it was something else.
Hey, Manny Pacquiao as well. Point said Manny Pacquiao.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Yeah, them Pac-Tards, and something else. No, for real. Yeah, that's what they call them. Now, I don't call them that, but that's what they call them. Manny Pacquiao fan base is
I got a story for y'all, real quick. My wife, well, we have a aromatherapy business, but my wife is also a nurse, right? And in that field, there's a lot of Filipinos that's in the nursing, that occupation. She's friends with a lot of Filipinos, so when they invite her to a cookout, I used to get, because I collect boxing T-shirts. I got like hundreds of custom-made boxing T-shirts. Every time we went to a Filipino cookout or party, I wore a Floyd Mayweather T-shirt.
Oh no!
Hey, yeah, you finna start just that T-shirt. Started a whole lot of records just walking in the door with that one.
Yeah, they used to walk up to him. They'd be like, "Oh, that's Tammy's husband." They'd be like, "Oh, he got on a Mayweather T-shirt."
That's disrespect.
Exactly. And I was antagonizing them, and they had Manny Pacquiao posters because they love Manny and stuff like that. And I used to antagonize them. And this was before they fought. And they said, "Can you tell me why Manny's not going to beat Floyd?" And I used to say, "He doesn't have the smarts."
Yeah. Oh man. Hey.
They used to get mad. But I wasn't trying to be funny. I was like, I love Manny, but I said, watch. I said, the fight is not going to be that exciting. I said, because Floyd ain't going to take chances. I said, but he's going to outbox Manny. And it came to fruition. They be like, hey, you was right. But they had an obsession with Floyd, man, that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Tito Trinidad is on. Deshaun Brown, as Jason Brown said, Tito Trinidad had a great fan base too. Yes, he did. He had a great fan base. Trinidad had a great fan base. I mean, he was predictable. Yeah, he just had that left hook. He was a very predictable fighter, but he was a damn good fighter. Shout out to Tito Trinidad.
I couldn't believe he had one flaw that Roy talked about, and Bernard seen it, and his father never corrected it. Tito, all his weight was on his front foot. That's why when you look at the Winky Wright fight, it's easy to hit a fighter like that with a jab because they can't get out the way. His weight was all wrong. And if you look at the Bernard Hopkins fight, every time he threw the left hook, Bernard was out of there. And Roy brought it up. So his father never fixed that flaw. That's why he lost the boxers. But Mike Tyson fan base was so crazy. I remember when Holyfield knocked out Mike in the first fight, my brother, who was a crazy Mike Tyson fan, he was so mad. He was like, watch. Somebody's going to kill Holyfield. Somebody's going to kill him. Somebody's going to kill him. Watch what I say.
I remember Coach saying he was going to get him.
Hey, hold on. Let him talk, Sly, and then you come in.
No, I'm just going to say, I looked at my brother. I said, Mike, what's wrong with you? You want a man to die because your guy lost? He was crying. Somebody's gonna kill Holyfield. Somebody's gonna kill him. I said, man, the emotions that people have, man.
Go ahead, Sly.
No, I was just gonna say. I remember Coach Malachi saying they were gonna roll up on Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas. Hey, Kurt, when you say the Mike Tyson fan, that was me. Kurt, that was me, Kurt. Hey, listen, I was 16 years old. Buster Douglas was hitting Mike Tyson with every combination known to man in the sport of boxing. I'm like, damn, man, he can't miss. Buster threw 15 punches. He landed 14 of them. I'm like, what the heck? So I said this is when I knew that Mike Tyson had a chin. Because people go to talk about, yo, man, listen, you wasn't gonna knock Mike Tyson out with no one punch. He's never got knocked out with one punch. Every fight he lost, it was accumulation of punches, and it was late round stoppages.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, so when people say, yeah, you know, Wilder got that one hit a quitter, I said, man, there's some dudes from back in the day, that one hit, that one punch ain't gonna knock them out.
Hey, from what we saw, and this is what we've just been looking at, when we've been seeing each other, Coach, he probably would have caught Larry with that right hand.
Yeah.
Well, boy, when Larry got up.
Oh, damn.
Hey, but the thing is, what Larry gonna catch him with?
Them vicious uppercuts he caught Shavers with. Them body hits and them uppercuts and them body punches. That's what he gonna catch him with.
Because Larry was a good inside fight as well. Now we finna make this inside fight game right here. I'm gonna close the distance. I'm gonna hit you with that. I'm gonna slip that right hand because once I see that that's all you have, your ass in trouble. I'm gonna walk you down. You had to have you had to have a high ring IQ back then. You know what I mean? Because those guys, they had many different ways to skin a cat. And no, and even Wilder, much respect to him, but he say you got to fight perfect for 12 rounds. I only got to fight perfect for 2 seconds. Guess what? Yeah. You won't whoop none of those guys from the past with that mentality. Hey, what you think, Kurt?
Hey, Kurt,
you're exactly. Address that. No, you're exactly right, man. They saying when people was like, who will win between Ali and Wilder? I'm like, what did he just say? Who will win between Wilder and Holmes? I'm like, what? I'm like, huh? But you're not beating them guys, because the fighters then, the heavyweights especially, they fought and you had to think and fight at the same time. Today, these guys fight. They don't have a strategy. Holmes had a strategy. They all had a strategy on how to beat you, and they were fighters. And like I said, the content of a fighter's character is everything. It's his heart, his mind, what he has, his intestinal fortitude, is everything. And Holmes had that in abundance. If Shavers hit you with that right hand, like when me and my father was watching a fight, he said he hit Holmes so hard, Holmes bounced off the canvas like a basketball. And my father used to say he got knocked cold like a milkshake. Every time a fighter got knocked out, that's what my father used to say, milkshake. But Larry, man, remember, he was hurt against Mike Weaver. Mike Weaver was a big puncher until Holmes caught him with that uppercut. So Holmes is always in trouble, but he can get himself out. That right there is character. So that's what those guys had. I got to fall off, fellas. I got to make some calls.
All right, baby. Salute my brother Kurt. We finna wrap up anyways, Kurt. Salute to Kurt, man. Please go to his YouTube channel, subscribe. Shout out to my brother Kurt, man.
Yes, sir, man. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy the fight tomorrow.
You too, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, shout out to my brother Kurt, man. Hey, listen, we're gonna wrap the show up, man. Sly Tennis, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, as a coach, real quick, I was gonna ask Kurt, but I know he was telling the story. He started his training real late in life, Larry Holmes. What do you think would have been the difference if he was started at like 15? I think he started when he was like 19, I think, or 20.
I'm not sure when Larry Holmes started, to be honest with you.
He started late. You're right, Sly, but Larry Holmes was great in all areas because he trained, and he was the main sparring partner for Muhammad Ali for 4 years. You can't help but be good.
Just like what Mike Tyson's sparring, the guy, Oliver McCall, guy that went crazy. All right, Coach. Sorry I got in here late, man. I'm gonna try to get off. I'm getting off work earlier next week, so we'll get it popping.
Yeah, ain't no problem, brother. Hey, what's your prediction on who you got for tomorrow night against Shakur Stevenson and my brother Jeremiah Nakathila?
I'm trying to. I really hope people aren't looking past Nakathila, but man, I'm trying not to be too biased. But I really, really like Shakur Stevenson, man. The inside game, I'm so excited. This is kind of like, I mean, he's won a few already, but this is kind of like his coming out fight. So I'm real excited. I hope he does well. I really want to see him go far.
Man, absolutely, man. Hey, man, shout out to my brother Sly Tendencies, man. Thank you so much, brother, for stopping by rocking with us. Okay, bro?
Salutes.
Salute to my brother. Let's hit the Ali bell before we go. Hey, Shell, what you want to say, brother, to wrap everything up? I know you
we had a great day, man. I got some shit going on over here, but I want to say to the whole chat, I don't, if you know a little bit, if you look into the history of boxing, we've seen Deontay Wilder before. He just came in a different color. His name was Jerry Cooney. We've seen Deontay Wilder before. Knocking everybody out, one punch power. And when he gets in there with somebody that can box, he gets fucking stoned. We've seen this picture before. A lot of you guys are too young, you didn't remember it. But me and Coach, we've seen this shit before. That's why we so critical on the man for making excuses. Because all fighters lose. It's not bad to lose. It's what you do after the loss that determines if you're good or if you're great.
And this is okay. Well, salute to my brother Shelton Moore, man. You finna bounce on Shelton?
Yeah, they calling me now. I'm gonna go, Coach. I'm gonna holler at you later, though. I'm gonna get at you.
All right, let's hit the Ali bell for my brother Shelton, man, my co-host, man. Salute to my brother Shelton, man. I want to wrap this up, two guys like this before we go. I want to say this. When you lose, right, you learn from your losses, right? So this is what I'm saying. There's no shame in losing a fight, but if you don't recognize how you lost the fight, if you don't recognize why you lost the fight and how you lost the fight, if you can't recognize that, then you will not be able to correct what went wrong in the fight. You see what I'm saying? If you're saying that what happened was I was drugged from my trainer, all right, so how do you correct that? You get rid of the trainer, you make sure that the next trainer don't drug your water if you feel that way. Allegedly, because I don't believe Mark Breland did that, right? I don't believe he did that at all. I don't believe that at all. So what I'm going to do, hold on, because we're going to wrap this up. So hold on, let me let Troy Graham in right quick. Shout out to Troy, man. Troy, you got something you want to say before we wrap the show up?
Yeah. Just real quick, man. I wish Shelton didn't leave. Cooney was a damn good boxer, so I disagree with him. Cooney actually had the fight. Cooney can box. Cooney can fight. That was very evident in all his fights. It's just that he came along at a time where there were a lot of great fighters, and he just didn't have that other level. But he could fight. He could box. He was not a one punch pony like Deontay Wilder is. Absolutely not. No.
Right.
Cooney was a damn good fighter.
You're right about that, Troy. Hey, listen, man. Y'all, shout out to my brother Major Key. Shout out to Troy Graham. Please subscribe to Major Key Boxing. You have Major Key Mondays at every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please check that channel out. Please subscribe to Retro Boxing and Documentaries. My brother Blood Boxing over there. Please shout out to my brother Punch Drunk Boxing. Please subscribe to his channel. And we're trying to grow the sport of boxing, man. And that's what we're trying to do. We love the sport of boxing. We love boxing more than we love a particular fighter. That's it. That's it. So go ahead, Troy.
Thank you, brother, man. And peace. I don't want to hold you up because I know you said you want to bounce. So go ahead. Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, let's hit the Ali bell for my brother Troy, man. The Ali bell, man. Hit the Ali bell for my brother Troy, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We know how we do it before we wrap it up. We didn't have a huge audience today because I know we were talking about Shakur Stevenson. I know when anytime I'm talking about Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, it's gonna be or Canelo, it's gonna be a big crowd, but Shakur Stevenson is not joining the crowd right now. But again, we're trying to cover as many fighters as we can in the sport of boxing. We're going to talk about Teofimo Lopez next week in this upcoming fight. So everybody get ready. So shout out to Southside Boxing. Shout out to Johnny Blaze. Shout out to Jason Brown. Shout out to Javis Bickle. Shout out to Eliza. I know I'm speaking very fast, guys. I am a fast talker from the South. Cut your dude from the South. Speak very fast. But shout out to Punch Drunk Boxing. Shout out to Peter Von Arks. Shout out to my brother Eddie Val. Shout out to Kathy W. Shout out to Eliza. Shout out to Lady Shan. Oh, subscribe to Lady Shan's channel as well. Forgot about Lady Shan. Shout out to Lisa Bales. Shout out to Carmen Serene. Shout out to Peter Von Arts. Shout out to Jeff Lucietta. Shout out to Johnny Blaze. Shout out to Southside Boxing. Shout out to Alan Skill. Shout out to Wizard Sleeve. My brother Retro Boxing and Documentaries. My brother Blood Boxing. Shout out to Troy Graham. My brother Troy Graham over there at a Major Key Boxing. Shout out to my brother Major Key as well. Please salute to the channel. Shout out to Elvis, not Elvis Presley, but Elvis Hansen. You know what I mean? And who else we have? I think that's it. Oh yeah, shout out to my brother who just came on Diallo Huggy. Shout out to Smith and West. He's not here. Shout out to Graham Taylor. Shout out to Neil Warnock. Who else we have? I want to make sure I give everybody a shout out before we sign out. I think that's it. I think I covered everybody. Oh, shout out to Lisa Bales. Shout out to Philly Fly. Philly Fly, what's going on, fam? Shout out to my brother Philly Fly. And I think that's it. I think we got everybody, guys. Other than that, man, other than that, man, it's our boy Coach Malachi Williams. Shout out to Michael Doyle. Just seeing you, brother. Brother. Once again, it's our boy Coach Malachi Williams. Represent for New Media Today, USA Boxing. We're going again live tomorrow at 3:00, guys. You know what I mean? So we're gonna cover the Shakur Stevenson fight because I want to see what this brother from Africa has. You know what I mean? Once again, Shakur Stevenson fights tomorrow in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's boxing. He has a fight against Jeremiah Nakathila. That's Nakathila. So he's from Nambia, which used to be a part of South Africa. So other than that, man, I'm rooting for Shakur Stevenson to win the fight. I don't know much about this fighter in order to give a prediction, but my prediction is Shakur Stevenson will win by stoppage. I can't predict the round, but we will see what it's going to be. But do not underestimate this fighter from Africa because the African fighters are some great fighters. Other than that, guys, it's our boy. Shout out to Sly Tendencies as well. This is our boy Coach Malachi Williams, represent for New Media Today, USA Boxing. Signing out once again. Peace.
Man, I'm out of here, bro. Let's go.